It's time to round off a month of Racing Local. We're helping local businesses with $30,000 raised so far, and we're putting on a great show with thousands of people tuning in to see some of motorsport's biggest names do battle on the iRacing simulation service. Ahead of us is a trip back in time with some F1 cars from the 1960s around historic Monza, plus some rallycross action at Sonoma. You'll see all of it live right here, thanks to the Global SimRacing Channel, with highlights coming to you on CRC Motorsport on TV3. My name is Ryan Jones, and alongside me is Greg Rust and Steve Daniel. Behind the scenes, Sean Ambrose using the cameras created by Dougie Beard. And it's been truly amazing to see the support and the amount that's been raised to help out these smaller local businesses that have been hit hard by COVID-19. Still got the rest of the show ahead of us. Still time to get those donations coming, Rusty.
Ryan, thank you. It's great to be back for the final week. We'd love to reach $50,000 if we can in support of small businesses here in New Zealand. They've been affected, as you rightly pointed out, by the COVID crisis. We're just over that 30K marker right now. Our drivers are representing their locals, their local businesses that are registered with the SOS Business site. We need your support too. We'd love you to give a little if you can. Click on the pinned message in the live stream or head to the Racing Local Facebook page and support these small businesses and let's try and get that tally to 50K.
Let's try indeed. Really looking forward to seeing what the total number comes out at the end of all of this. Out on the track, I think drivers are going to be very pleased that this is virtual, because with the format we've got ahead of them, it's a lot of aches and pains, I think. It should save them, because it's a bumpy ride, Steve.
Ryan, Rusty, good evening. Look, from the bumps and the cushions of Eldora in Knoxville, the speed of the ovals at Daytona in Michigan, we've been at the Road America course, and we've just got down and dirty at the Wild West Motorsport Park last week. Tonight, we're heading to Sonoma, hitting the mud with rally cars before heading to the home of the Tifosi, Italy's Monza in the Lotus 49. The Lotus 49 designed by Colin Chapman for the 1967 Formula One World Championship, the same season that Kiwi driver Denny Hulme won the Formula One Drivers' Championship, the only person from New Zealand to do so.
And we are returning to a 63-car field for the event after going back to 40 cars last week. And Rusty, there ain't a chance of letting them all loose at once. Certainly not on our first track of the evening, the rallycross you can see on your screen. But so tell us how we're going to whittle it down to the field for the feature events.
Ryan, don't you love the fact that they've continued, the organisers, to change things up again? They did that last week. We headed to the dirt for a change to start things last week, and we're doing that again for the final of Racing Local. So we're at the Sonoma Raceway Rallycross Complex, qualifying 5 minutes or 2 laps for the drivers. We then go into a sequence of heats. There are 4 heats, 16 drivers at a time, and we'll then progress those that make the cut through to the E-Main. 5 laps, 16 drivers. Same story for the D-Main. 7 laps for the C-Main, 16 drivers. 8 laps for the B-Main. And then the main event for Rallycross will be either 20 minutes or run over 12 laps. The top 16 drivers. Then the Parco di Monza. The beautiful, the full track, the legendary track there. 10 minutes of qualifying or 2 individual laps there. Heat 1 will be contested over 3 laps. Heat 2 also 3 laps. The main event timed out at 30 minutes or about 8 laps, and 62 drivers taking part. Man, there is going to be some action.
It certainly is. And I dare say we might be getting as much airtime on that track as you do out this place, because there's actually a bit of a crest that becomes a jump for these drivers in those Lotus 49 cars coming out of the bank section of the racetrack onto the main straight. So watch out for that to provide some carnage, I think, over the course of that one. But first, we set our eyes to the rallycross track here at Sonoma Raceway. Before that, the drivers will get off the track because it will be closed, and they will undergo a driver's briefing to make them aware of any changes for this evening, of which there are a few surprises coming up for these drivers in terms of how qualifying may shake up. But as it hits 5 past the hour, that track should be closed in just a moment's time, and we'll get into the driver's briefing. And here on the Global SimRacing Channel, we are going to give you the chance to listen on in and hear exactly what the drivers are going to say. Just a few moments until we get that audio up for you guys, as
Well, good evening,
track is
everybody.
closed and
Welcome
briefing
to the
has
final
begun.
round here for the Racing Local Series. Of course, we're here in the Rallycross cars at Sonoma. For those of you who haven't heard me or haven't raced around here yet, for those of you who have, you will know my voice by now. My name is Nathan Clive, and I am part of Race Control. Joining me tonight is Stuart Patterson and Pete Honeybell. They'll be alongside me and assisting me tonight. Guys, the Rallycross format, pretty simple. 2 laps for qualifying. That will set your grids for the feature race. The heat races will consist of 4 laps. You must take 1 joker. The top 3 will go from the heats through to the feature. Depending on the number of cars, that slightly might change. Just on jokers, while we're talking about that, when you take off from the start line, you can't use the joker on the first lap. Otherwise, iRacing will give you an 11-second penalty. So just advise that nobody uses the joker lap when they take off from the start line, but any other time you can use the joker lap once. Then from the heat races, we've got alphabet soup, and we'll start with the E-main, where you will be able to progress your way up through to the A-main, which of course will be 12 laps. All the racing tonight does have 1 joker lap, and once we get into the mains, the laps do increase by 1 until we add a couple more for the feature. Obviously, starts, guys, standing start for these cars. There are no yellows unless we absolutely have to, and we'll just keep an eye on things. But majority of the night we should be able to keep under green flag conditions. If you are seen to be driving recklessly, driving the wrong way, or intentionally take someone out, that will not be tolerated and you will be removed from the race. Let's keep it clean, let's go out there and have fun. And for those that were asking earlier, yes, you will need a windscreen wiper because the screen does fill up with dirt, so you'll need to make sure you have a keybind assigned to use the windscreen wiper. Any questions before we move on?
Alrighty, so driver's briefing complete, the track open to the drivers, and now we can start to get into the action. Rallycross at Sonoma, this is going to be wild. We're going to see some wicked airtime, and if last week was anything to go by with some of the reverse entries and drama we saw, it's going to be just as much as the same. First up, qualifying, 2 laps for these drivers to put down the ultimate lap.
Ryan, I am going to be very intrigued to see what unfolds here. What a great addition we had last week with Mad Mike Wadet. He let us in on his social media during the week that Lincoln, his son, had done a brilliant job in the lead up, getting them into the final by the sounds of things. And then Mike was spectacular to watch in the way that he sent the stadium trucks. So he's just mentioned to me a moment ago that he's had a very, very busy day here. So he's kind of late to the party, jumping on just now. We're not sure how he'll go at Monza a little bit later on, but at least I guess there's some drifting techniques he can absolutely apply to this. He'll have fun when it comes to the rallycross side of things.
Yes, fingers crossed he gets in just in time to put down the qualifying lap. Just 5 minutes for these drivers to put down their 2 efforts. And we're watching Christian Hermansen here, Steve, who certainly knows his way around the dirt.
Yeah, Christian Hermansen, a 3-time New Zealand mini sprint champion, certainly enjoying his time behind the wheel. The one person I'm going to be watching for tonight is Shane van Gisbergen. not because he's an incredible driver, not because he's an incredible iRacing campaigner. I watched him only a handful of weeks ago get to the very, very pointy end of a rallycross track and could not get over the lines he was taking. He was taking Formula One lines on dirt, and he's my man to watch tonight.
Steve, don't you think he, across the entire 4-week campaign, has been Mr. Consistency? It doesn't. We know how good he is when it comes to sim racing competition, but it doesn't matter the discipline. He's been very good right across, hasn't he?
Yeah, SVG does not struggle in any form of motorsport, whether it be racing a car in any type of car for that matter. He started at Western Springs Speedway in a quarter midget. He's also extremely talented behind the handle, I suppose you'd call it, of an RC car in multiple disciplines, and of course taking it out with the iRacing as well. And we've seen him throughout any type of car. SVG's at the top end of iRacing, and will he be there with GSRC tonight?
Well, at the top at the moment in qualifying is Matthew Payne, New Zealand KZ2 karting champion, putting it down with a 41.530 over Tom Blomqvist, Sam Dunstall, Taylor Cockerton, and Mitch Evans, your top 5, although Hayden Patton just put himself up into that 5th place, another driver that we should very much expect to do well today.
He's a guy that, has probably done it tough in terms of some of the other disciplines, so looking forward to seeing Hayden having a great final outing. Final time for Racing Local, and look at the list of names there in the top 10 and even beyond it. Scott McLaughlin, Andre Heimgartner just inside of Brendan Hartley, Mitch Evans. It's an absolutely, if you've just joined the coverage, it is a class field here, and we've been blessed with that. Some of the best drivers in New Zealand, or that New Zealand has produced. Some of them are in their at homes and bases overseas, and they're still contesting and competing. A number of them have come back to New Zealand during the coronavirus period, and it's awesome that they've been good enough to give their time and to take part in this.
Let's take a look at Van Gisbergen, because he hasn't managed to set a lap time yet. And as he whacks the fence, Van Gisbergen is going to have to work his way through this proceedings, because he's not going to get a time down. He's going to be starting at the back for one of these heats. He's going to have to work himself through that, the C, the B, the A main. If he gets there, going to be tough for him. And there is Mike Wedette.
Mad Mike Wedette is running the Herbie paint scheme. The love bucket is Ryan, and I want to know if he's racing using the hydro handbrake, because drifters all know about how to absolutely pull on the hydro, set yourself up, and then back the car. And we saw him doing that last week. Talking to Christian Hermanson about the driving lines of Mad Mike, he actually went back to the track and tried it Mad Mike style. He said that it was worth 4 seconds a lap. Mad Mike Wedette having a kiss with the concrete. She'll be right.
Well, I was going to say, I wonder if it's Lincoln or Mad Mike himself, because we saw on social media throughout the week that Lincoln actually did a lot of the racing leading up to the final in that Pro 4 truck up at Wild West Motorsports Park, which was mightily impressive because he had a lot of speed. So, going to be interesting to see which one of them it was over the course of the week. I'm sure we'll find out, but judging by the lines, he's pretty fast. And
it's probably Lincoln. Probably Lincoln then, eh?
Yeah.
It's all about angle and style. So at the moment, he's dialing in the angle, hitting his clips. That's definitely a 100-point score. Sorry, this isn't drifting.
He's definitely a chip off the old block, isn't he? I mean, whether it's what he's doing on social media or behind the wheels, a big future ahead of him for Lincoln Wedette.
Yeah, well, shout out to Lincoln Wedette. Oh, sorry, well, shout out to Mikey, because he'll be watching his boy, Jet and Tony, of course. Lincoln, if you get a chance, jump on Mad Mike's YouTube channel and check out this incredible build that they're doing. A rotary-powered MX-5, not for Mad Mike, for Lincoln Wedette. He's got a huge social media following, that boy, and can he speak to the camera? He's going to be knocking on Murphy's door soon and saying, move aside, I've got this.
Well, let's take a look at your starting grid for our first heat. Top 4 inverted from how they finish here, if they do make it through into the feature. So the top 4 will go straight through to that feature, but they'll be inverted for the grid. Bryce Harding, Brendan Hartley, Taylor Cockerton. You can see all the drivers on the left-hand side of your screen and how they line up for this one. There's 15 of them in total. We've got just about 15 or 20 seconds until all of them get gridded up, and we get those red lights on for our first action of the event. That's the view looking back from the number 34 car. That's Brendan Hartley, who starts off the middle of the front row. They've all got it up. So the red light's up on the gantry for these drivers. For the first time in week 4 of Racing Local, the green flag flies and we go racing. And what a jump for Bryce Harding.
Slow start for... contact. And one's gone almost over as they all fire through. And look, there goes one upside down, one on its side. Looks like Craig Lord might have got upside down like he spoke about further back. And there's a lot of cars moving to the back of the grid. Bryce Harding, though, Rusty, up the front.
Looks like Greg Murphy may be okay. He was gridded down around Craig Lord. But Lord appears to be in 10th position at the moment, so he's made a rocket of a start, rocket ship start.
Certainly has. So Bryce Harding will lead them up towards the start-finish straight for lap number 1. Cockett up into 2nd. Hartley back to 3rd. Andrew Waite 4th. And Sampson 5th. But he's under a lot of pressure. Is Sampson at the moment. Remember, they've got to take the Joker at some point in this heat race as well.
So Simon Evans was one of the cars caught up in that first corner melee, as well as 2 times New Zealand Drift King Darren Kelly. So a lot of work for those guys to do further back. Darren Kelly now sitting in 10th place. He's going to have Craig Lord in front of him, 2nd in front.
Look how tight your top 4 are, as that's Hartley on the outside of 3 wide almost as they wind their way up the hill. And on the inside there, Carl Sampson with a great run.
It's good stuff from Andrew Wade, isn't it? Driver coach at Tony Quinn's Highland Motorsport Park at Cromwell. Very good enduro driver too. So having a good start to our final week of Racing Local.
And taking the Joker comes Carl Sampson then. And he's going to be followed by one of the drivers behind as well. Let's see where he pops out. And it is way out in front of those guys he was with.
So 1.3 seconds between Harding and Cockerton running in 2nd position. Carl Sampson, though, posting the fastest lap of the race with a 42.13.
It's got a nice flow and feel about it, Sonoma, doesn't it? Sometimes called Sears Point Raceway, the complex, obviously. And the racetrack itself, not the rallycross course here, was the site of Kiwi Scott Dixon's 5th IndyCar Championship win in 2018.
Great place in Brazil motorsport history, isn't it then? And they say that at some point during the year, this track is actually green around the outside surrounding areas. You hear that's an urban myth?
This one looks like it's from the Hawke's Bay at the moment, or maybe further down south, but it's a great race at the moment. Sampson posting another fast lap, but he is sitting in 3rd position at the moment. Harding, he's led from start to finish, or at least the first corner. Cockerton trying to chase him down, and the gap has closed to 0.5 of a second.
It's a final lap for them though. Harding's got enough of a margin. He should be safe down into the final corner here as he dives it in. Up and over the inside curb and up and over the jump. Here comes Cockerton with the momentum to the line. It'll be Bryce Harding. No, Cockerton. Cockerton got him.
Now the replay will be telling there, was it a case of clipping that curb for Harding as they came onto the front straight, and it upset the balance of the VW? And you see, you rightly point out, Ryan, he maintained the momentum, the speed, and look at this, right at the line. Beautifully done.
Well, Taylor Cockerton taking the win from Bryce Harding, Carl Sampson. Brendan Hartley finishing in 4th place from Andrew Waite. Marcus Armstrong in 6th from Craig Brock. Simon Evans, Darren Kelly, and Jonathan Eaton rounding at the top 10 for the first race, the first heat of the night. Of course, the rally cars tonight, the Rally Cross, brought to you by Downforce Auto Events and Training.
We had a quick word to Greg Murphy before we came on air, and he was pretty confident that he had things a little better coming into this. He liked the flow of the Sonoma layout, but we didn't see him make a lot of ground, so he's going to be doing it tough, isn't he?
Yeah, Murph's certainly going to have a little bit of work to do ahead of him. Of course, these drivers having to move through a number of different, much the same as Speedway, the DCB A mains to find ourselves a winner.
All right, heat number 2 for this one. Matt Stevens, Andre Heimgartner, Hayden Paddon, Matthew Payne, Matthew Pluck, your top 5. What a diverse top 5 we have for this one. Supercars, World Rally Championship, karting champion, and a couple sim races to boot as well. And you can see the rest of the lineup, including Van Gisbergen, from 14th place after failing to put down a qualifying time. It's the same format as your first heat. As the lights go out, we go racing for the second time. Good start from the outside, but he gets turned into the first corner. Chaos at the front. 2 of them out into the fence.
Watch for
Matthew
SVG.
Payne. Yeah, SVG taking the inside line coming down the first turn. And, he's just gone up and punted. One of the cars sent him upside down. Went straight across the nose of Shane Van Gisbergen. Nowhere to go, but that driver there went up on his side.
Oh, this is Days of Thunder stuff, isn't it?
Oh, no. That was wild. They were not giving each other any room coming up into the corner, and they all came off worse for it in the end. Big
Van
shake-up in the
Gisbergen
order.
is flying.
Yeah, big shake-up from 14th to 4th. Check out SVG, up 10 spots in 1 lap.
It must be nice when you know you don't have to qualify because you're just that good. Shane Van Gisbergen sitting in 4th position after the first lap. And what a job he's done. Matt Stevens still leads up front from Edwards, humble. But SVG's going to be coming and knocking very, very soon.
I just wonder if some of those early skirmishes were Andre Heimgartner and Hayden Patton. Sorry, Ryan, I didn't mean to cut across you there, but they're down in 10th and 11th respectively at the moment.
Yeah, they both came into contact. Patton got turned from the outside of the 3 cars up at the front, coming into turn 1. It set him out into the fence. He cleaned up, I believe, Christian Hermanson as well. So there were a few drivers caught up early on.
Hermanson very, very lucky in that situation. He did get collected at the start of the race, but sitting in 5th place at the moment.
Yes.
Battling earlier on with Shane Van Gisbergen. So he's done a good job to hold on to it. The gap, though, it's 1 second between Van Gisbergen and Humble. So although fast in the first lap, hasn't quite got onto the back end of it unless he's taken the Joker, or one of them has. That's Hermanson this time.
It looked like he took it very late. He actually missed the turn in a bit and cost himself a bit of time as a result. He only comes out right on the front bumper of Van Gisbergen.
And Gizzy's maintained the speed. So Hermanson is under pressure here. Gives Azza Humble a little bit of breathing space.
Gap's pushed out to 1 second between Van Gisbergen and... actually, we've got Hermanson in front, so it's around 3 seconds between those guys there. Humble up the front of them. Matt Stevens leading.
Edwards and Van Gisbergen both taking the Joker. They'll put them out the front of the field now.
Matt Stevens fastest lap of the race with a 41.8, and he's doing it right from the right way up front. There's Matt Stevens there in the HGT. What is that? Subaru, isn't it?
Subaru, yeah, it is. It's a final lap too for these drivers, so Matt Stevens looking comfortable at the moment as he flicks it back and around towards the pavement. Make sure he gets his final corner right. Although he's going to take his Joker here on the final lap, which means it is a done deal for him because he's got the shortest route back to that start-finish stripe, or I should say the finish stripe, as he takes out heat number 2 and a drag race
for P2.
Second. Van Gisbergen gets him. You know what we haven't talked about here, guys, actually, is I mentioned the start-finish stripe. Well, that's incorrect. Start lines up at the pit lane, which is actually not a part of the normal racing circuit. Finish line is down there at the other side of the track.
Well, Matt Stevens taking the win from Shane Van Gisbergen. Edwards coming home in 3rd from Humble, Christian Hermanson, Pluck, Andre Heimgartner, Justin Allen, Hayden Patton, and Matthew Griffin finishing out the top 10.
Now, we're broadcasting all around the world with this series, but I think we want to clarify a slight difference in pronunciation between what the Aussies say and what the Kiwis say. So, Ryan, what kind of car was our race winner driving just then?
It's a Subaru.
Steve?
Subaru.
I've
okay
never heard. Never heard that pronounced before.
You should go to Japan where they're built. Sorry, I had to try it. I don't even know if it's true. I just wanted to try and win the battle. Here
we go.
We are known for saying the wrong thing. Possibly the right thing. Who would know?
Heat 3's underway, though, out on the racetrack. Down into the first corner. Oh, that's a big drama behind.
And there's
Lock
another
out
one.
turn 2.
Reverse spun, sent around the wrong way, and now driving backwards on the track. That's the way to do it. So we've got 2 more cars upside down.
Man, that jump was not kind to this heat on the first lap. A few drivers ending up on their lid down at turn 1 as well. Add more of it. Partridge shakes out to be your race leader ahead of Liam Lawson, Adam Humphries, and Nartoa, your top 5.
I love the fact that Liam Lawson just absolutely attacked at the start there. Now, all of the drivers, remember, we've been working with the SOS Business website or SOS Cafe. So Liam Lawson is again supporting Autobahn Cafe, Bombay and Papakura.
You know who is in this heat, though? Widett is in this one. Back in the field at the moment, though. He's in 6th place at the moment. He whacked the fence coming out of the turn 5 section, though. So he's struggling a little bit, maybe due to a bit of a lack of practice.
Don't you worry, Mikey's got this. He's still sitting in 6th place. Partridge leading up front, Liam Lawson, Connor Adam sitting in 3rd position from Natua, and William Humphries in 5th place. So there's Humphries there. He's former New Zealand Superstock champion, would not have had an issue with all those cars around him. He certainly knows how to serve somebody. He'll come down the inside,
Oh, he served
and then
him.
that's how you do it. Superstock style, tap, move out of the way. I'm coming through, William Humphries.
Nartoa's really slow, actually. He might have a bit of an issue. As he comes back, and oh no, he turns Widett around. He's turned around Widett, coming towards the jump.
Ron, I think it was awkward.
Yeah, he was taking
coming into the corner.
Completely different line to Widett. Widett was getting it out sideways, whereas it looked like Nartoa was trying to take a traditional line.
Well, there's a battle on track at the moment. It's Lawson up front. Rusty.
Now on board, you're looking at Liam Lawson up ahead of you, so Connor Adam. Love the way the cars sound tapped out when they go across the jumps.
Final lap as well for these drivers now.
Just unsettled at this point here. Partridge looks like he's going to take it. Liam Lawson running in 2nd. Still running that car nice and tight. Great speed. As they come into the final turn run.
Not quite the final turn. Still want to navigate here for Partridge. He doesn't need to take the joker. Here he goes through the final corner, up and over the jump. Some decent hang time there. And he is going to look out for Lawson. Did Lawson take the joker? He did! Lawson pinches the win on the final lap. He took the joker.
We could see it just in the background, and Ryan rightly question marked it, but he plays the joker beautifully for the run to the line and snatches the win.
And they get served up for his troubles. Well done. That's what I love about iRacing. End of the race, take each other out. It's all about entertainment here. Of course, Downforce Auto Events and Timing, bringing us the Rally Cross, part of Racing Local. Week number 4, the final.
And they do a great job, Steve. I've been at various tracks around the country with them when they're running events and working with the various manufacturers. Very good people.
Heat number 4. Final heat before we head to the alphabet soup, the E, the D, the C, the B. Green flag is out. Someone jumped it in the background. They're going to have to serve a penalty. But down into turn 1, some of the cleanest we've seen.
Well, very clean as we enter the turn, and it's a pair of a trifecta of Panda cars as they bounce over the jump here. Mitch Evans sitting in 2nd for Will Bamber. Scotty Mack, though, joins the race, sitting in 4th position.
It's odd to see it so clean, isn't it? Normally we're seeing a few skirmishes in those. Oh, no, I spoke too soon. Spoke too soon.
It might have been McLaughlin. With Vanner just dropping down the timing sheets.
Vandy's gone. Riding up front, Mitch Evans. Will Bamber, there's a joker lap taken.
That was by Mitch Evans. He took that one, and that'll put himself with a bit of a comfortable margin. But as we saw in the last heat, he's got to be careful on the final lap that someone behind tries to joker up there. Oh no! What happened there?
That's just got an amazing piece of vision with it.
Yeah. Was it a tyre bundle or something? And it went straight over.
That little sausage curve on the inside completely offloaded that. We've got to get a replay of that if we can. That was...
you're not supposed to cut
wild.
the corner, and that is why.
Man.
One way to test the
The
limits.
net result is McLaughlin is P2.
He's 8.5 seconds back in P2 as well. Evans driving away from it at the moment. .41.1, fastest lap of the race from our leader, Mitch Evans. Sporting the old Panda car livery of the New Zealand police force of old, the traffic cop styles.
And not the only driver running up livery. Behind him, McLaughlin is as well. So too Will Bamber. Everyone from Muzz Mini Motorsport, which includes quite a number of drivers, Blomqvist, Van Gisbergen as well, all running that same livery out there on the track. P5 is pretty close here. That's Sam Dunstall trying to chase down Ethan Cook when they cross the stripe and be the final lap for them.
Scotty Mack certainly closed the gap down to 6.5 seconds between himself and Mitch Evans. Bamber, he's running by himself, but the battle seems to be for 4th and 5th place at the moment.
Dunstall got him up the inside, so he's up into P6.
I was just going to say, boys, it could be the start of a good night for Mitch Evans. Let's not forget he was doing very well in Formula E, wasn't he, before the season was halted with the COVID crisis with a race win there. And he knows Monza, the traditional, more modern-day layout of Monza very well. So,
And he'll take the checkered flag for the final heat of week 4 of Racing Local. He'll be followed across the line by McLaughlin 2nd, Will Bamber 3rd, Sam Dunstall will take 4th, ahead of Ethan Cook in 5th. We have an E main for this one.
I can't recall the last time I had an E-main.
I've just noticed that myself. That's what happens when you get a 62-car field trying to whittle itself down for a feature at a rallycross track. You can't put too many of them on the track at the same time. We've already seen the drama from having 15 cars at once.
Great to have so many people supporting the series, the drivers. Sorry, Steve, there. And the Giltrap group as well have been great supporters right the way through, haven't they?
Yeah, the Giltrap team, the Giltrap family certainly been behind Racing Local from the moment it started. And of course, this series, which we've seen, goes back 1 week, but 1 week before the first round is when, hey, let's do this. And look at all the teams, all the sponsors, etc., that got in behind gridding now for our next race, Ryan.
So the E main here, 14 drivers vying for 4 spots, put them in the D main. It's a long road to the feature for these guys. They got 5 laps to do it. As red lights are on for these guys. For the E main, let's go racing. As a green flag flies, poor start from Craig Lord. He's going to go backwards, and he's going to get turned into turn 1.
That's the man, though, Sooty. If you're going to get turned into turn 1, take somebody with you, and he sent them upside down. Matthew Lepicic leads the way. At the front of the grid, Sam Waddell running in 2nd place from Red Harker and Matthew Payne. Lots and lots of work for every one of these drivers to go through if they're going to make it their way all to the A main tonight.
Up to position 7, the 51, Greg Murphy, ahead of Blomqvist. And Lord is back to position 10. Maybe he's commentating his own laps.
Oh, look at the dirt there. You heard in the driver's briefing too, they mentioned you're going to need a wiper mapped to your button there on your setup at home, because if you don't, your screen's going to be an absolute mess by the end of the race. Another problem for Craig Lord, unfortunately, so he falls back to 11th. As out front, it'll be Cameron Freeman that leads. Tom Blomqvist sitting in 2nd. Waddell, Cranston, and Payne your top 5.
Steve. Craig's run for mayor at one point, I think, hasn't he? He probably won't put that in his next campaign.
Yes, definitely. The Auckland Mayoralty race, he was right up there running third place behind Banksy and one of the other people as well.
So on for the lead here. Blomqvist will take it away. He clips the sausage curve, props it up on 2 wheels, but he gets the move done, and he puts himself out at the front, as taking the Joker behind them will be Matthew Payne, and he serves up Freeman, and he spins off to the left-hand side of the track. So Payne is put himself out ahead of Blomqvist now, actually.
I was just going to say, Ryan, hasn't he had a very good overall series for Racing Local? It's nice for us to talk about some of the young karters here in New Zealand doing a good job, and Payne really shining a light in that regard, isn't he?
He is, but big drama though, because he's been served a black flag. So he's copped a penalty for that contact with Freeman on the rejoin. So he's going to really struggle to keep himself inside the top 4 by the time this checkered flag falls. We'll have to wait until after the results are registered to see whether he makes it through or not. He needs to pull a big of a gap as he can right now, Rusty, otherwise he's going home early.
Yeah, definitely. Love to see inside the sims, the cockpits, if you like, and just see what the footwork and things like that is like at the moment. How many of them are running handbrake and how often they're running that handbrake. Blomqvist has had a great Racing Local series too. Nice job.
That's Freeman in the middle of the trio of cars with Zach Blinko getting on by. He's back to 6th, 7th place now as Freeman after that contact. He's just ahead of Jacob Cranston. And Greg Murphy is up into 5th place, just out ahead of these 3. Just 1 spot outside of making it into the D main.
He's been busy. He was part of the Supercars eSeries celebrity race. He was a late call-up. The All Blacks went into training camp and couldn't take part in it, so Murph jumped behind the wheel of their car, but can you believe it, Ryan? It was a Ford, a Mustang, as we wrap this one up.
Certainly wrapped it up, didn't he? Wrapping it around the end of the section of track. Great job.
So, where does Matthew Payne end up? Looks like despite the black flag, he is still going to be your race winner. We'll just wait for everyone to cross the line for the results to be official. And then we can tell you with definity whether he's made it through to the D main or not, or whether he is packing it up. He has made it through. Blomqvist is scored as your race winner. Payne 2nd, Harker 3rd, Waddell 4th. They are going through to the D. Murphy and everyone else on back are going to have to pack it up and get ready for Monza as we grid up, ready for the D main.
No shortage of action tonight. It was a bumper 2 hours last week, wasn't it? And we're bringing it to you thick and fast again this week.
Here we go. Green flag is out for the drivers. Good start in the middle for the 22. Down into turn 1 as 2 of them go off to the left-hand side of the racetrack. And there's more drama coming out of the corner as another one's turned around to the racing line. And it continues down into turn 2.
Let's go, Mad Mike's now leading the race. Mad Mike definitely chucking on the style points as he went over
Oh, no, he's gone. It looked
Mike,
like
you sent it backwards in a hard way. Look at that.
Sam
What is
Waddell.
going out?
Sam Waddell's ended up upside down all the way down at the runoff area, halfway down the track strip.
It's like they decided to go wild in this one, isn't it? I mean, even at the start line, was there some dramas for Simon Evans? I'd need to go back and have a look at it, but if it was him, he's back in P8 now.
So, taking the Joker lap, your 2 race leaders, Goebel and Payne. So, Blomqvist, sorry. Matthew Payne is out at the head of the field, despite starting from 12th place.
Certainly turned a few laps in the iRacing simulators. And doing a great job at the front is Matthew Payne. We've seen his name feature multiple times over the last few weeks. Blomqvist running in second place. Mad Mike absolutely hacking on the angle, reverse entry, and then chosen a 360 spin in the opposite direction. And sideways like Mikey loves it, hits his inside clip and running the rails.
Enjoy the lines. He is using all of the track, isn't he?
He's not afraid to get it sideways. This would be the absolute style of driving that both Mad Mike would and Lincoln would be loving. It's one thing you don't do in drifting, is passing the car in front of you. So a nice opportunity for Mikey to practice that.
You see him pull the handbrake, the way that car reacted down into that corner as Hermansen serves him back and pushes him out wide a little bit and takes the spot back away. Again, not something you have to contend with in drifting. Oh no, he's hit the fence on the inside and that's a bad spot.
Blomqvist getting faster and faster, posted a 40-second lap last lap and he just jumped into the 39.9, so quick driving at the moment for the man sitting in second position, Tom Blomqvist.
Remember, this one's a lap longer than your E-main, so it's 6 laps in total, 3 left to go. The Payne from Blomqvist, Quinn, Harker, your top 4 looking at an advancement of the C-main if things stay how they are.
Have to say, that's a very good performance by both Payne and Blomqvist. They're doing it the hard way here, aren't they? Trying to keep advancing, but that's pretty impressive so far.
I believe Payne's taken his Joker to help him get up there as well. Blomqvist has as well, I do believe. They've got 7 seconds back to the next closest car. This is a massive margin after just 4 laps of racing around a very short lap. 42-second lap times.
Well, the other problem you're going to see is running into lap traffic as well, and lap traffic can certainly turn your race upside down in multiple ways, as we've seen tonight.
Smooth, it's tidy there, isn't it?
He's running a NASA livery. Hope that's not a premonition of what might happen to his car at some point today.
Certainly not scared to launch as Matt Payne. This is the battle for 5th position. Hermansen.
Touch.
Oh, he's getting his elbows out, isn't he?
Well, it's because he's after that final transfer spot, isn't he? He's trying to make sure he stays in the game here.
Driving like a man possessed. Christian Hermansen. And that is a nice way to be racing with your opposition. Have one of them take the other out. Blomqvist again, another fast lap. 13 low 9s down to the 8s.
That's the finish, though, for the drivers. And your top 4 going through to the next race of the alphabet soup, as we like to call it, the C-main. Payne advances again with Blomqvist, Queen and Harker, the other 2 heading through. So Hermansen's just going to miss out, unfortunately. He'll get ready for Monza, which is going to feature another jump coming out of the banking in a car that has very much decided not to get airborne. So that should be interesting, to say the least.
If you've just joined the coverage too, look, don't forget, a little bit later, we're off to Monza and the beautiful Lotus 49s. Right now, though, Rallycross, Sonoma. And we continue our gradual move towards the main events.
Don't you just love the speed of gridding? If we could just get every class in motorsport in New Zealand to do this, we would have the fastest racing.
As they all appear up on the screen, let's get ready for your C-main. 7 laps in length. This one, again, the top 4 are advancing. Short, Armstrong, Allen off the front row, and away we go. Hold our breath down into turn number 1. Oh no, big chaos. Upside down. Armstrong has to do it. I mean...
Wow. Oh, wow.
Do you know who may have been the big winner there? Payne. P5.
I tell you what, starting at the back seems to be the golden spot for this event, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can see that when they came down into the first turn, one of the cars hard on the brakes, let everyone push forward. Cars got upside down and then slowly creeped on the inside of the turn. Made up about 10 spots.
And I think someone who's suffered a little bit and gone backwards in all of that chaos, Hayden Patton down in V9. We see more chaos now.
And Payne shot through that into second place.
Unbelievable.
Well, I was looking for a friend of mine because I saw his name out there. I couldn't find him. It's at the top of the leaderboard, 2-time New Zealand Drift King, Darren Kelly, throwing it sideways. Normally used to being behind the wheel of an R35 GTR. And you'll see the livery, very sideways style, very Ken Block.
Steve, I'd want to double check it. I think Darren took the Joker lane then, did he not?
Well, we might have seen a change in the lead then. No, he's certainly a quick driver and has no problem going sideways. His first episode.
There he
with
goes.
us. So he's taking the Joker now, so that's going to pass the lap again. So Darren Kelly, he literally got a phone call about an hour before the first time we went live with Racing Local, and hasn't really looked back. Fastest lap of the race as well for the 2-time New Zealand Drift King.
Payne's only 0.9 behind him though.
Yes, remember the Joker here at Sonoma is the shortest route around the circuit. Sometimes it's a longer route as Calvin Quinn completely mucks up turn number 1 there. On board with Matthew Payne as he rides up to the back of Darren Kelly, who shoots it wide for the exit turn 1. This is going to hurt him. Here comes Payne. As you have a look, he doesn't. He sets himself up for the exit for momentum, up and over the jump.
And the fastest lap of the race as well.
Matthew Payne.
Darren Kelly, though, is doing a great job.
9.
First time we've seen Darren Kelly really start to shine. I mean, I know it's one of the C mains, but leading from the front, doing a great job up there.
He was 7
Nice to spend
tenths
a bit of
quicker
time.
than Kelly.
Oh!
Oh, Kelly slaps the fence.
Come on, DK, what's going on, mate?
All good for Payne. Takes the race lead. He was perfectly positioned to bounce, wasn't he?
He was, and Blomqvist is on the charge as well. He's up into 4th place now. Final transfer spot again.
Got his hands full, Blomqvist.
Yeah, behind him, that's Eaton. All over him, trying to pull a move. Remember, we're racing today in support of our local businesses right across New Zealand. And if you want to help out, you can head to the link in the description as well. To the Give a Little page, it's also in the comments. And you can help out some of these businesses yourself as well. We've raised $30,000 so far. How much further can we get after the conclusion of week 4?
Back to our race leader, Matthew Payne. Now has a 2.3 second advantage over Kelly in second. Then it's about a similar margin, in fact. Back to Harker in third.
Look at the lap time. 39.5. 6
Mega.
tenths quicker than his previous one.
It's getting faster and faster as we carry on this evening. We've certainly seen it start off at about a 42 second, but now right down in the 39 second range. You can see the wiper blades on. The driver's getting warned to ensure they had that earlier on. You can see the dust, etc., settling all over the outside of that windscreen.
It's like Payne is running the NASA afterburners, isn't he? He's been so fast, doing it the hard way from the E-main and keeps advancing here. Fingers crossed. He looks like taking another step forward and making it to the next of our mains.
Well, can he go all the way? That's going to be the question. We've seen it done before. Is Matthew Payne the person to do it for Racing Local week number 4?
Well, Wadette did it last week in the Pro 4 truck, didn't he?
Yeah, Christian Hermanson was another. So we've seen it done before. Certainly getting entertained out on track Sonoma.
I think that was one less main. That wasn't an E main, that was a D main last time though. Out of the jump he comes, and he will take the checkered flag for your C main. The charge continues for Matthew Payne. Behind them, the battle for second going to be won by Reed Harker. Darren Kelly will come home in third. Tom Blomqvist, he advances with Payne, and their charge continue together.
He's got a really good karting record, Matthew Payne, hasn't he? You pointed out before about winning the 2019 KZ2 Championship, won the Junior Rotax Max, I think 2016 too. But he's adept in a sim and in a rally car.
No, he certainly is. We're seeing some drivers who have very much carried their talent into the virtual world, which is something that not everyone's been able to do. And I think Matthew Payne being one of those drivers that's done it phenomenally well. As we get ready for the B main, this will finalise your grid for the feature. Still only 4 drivers going through. Brendan Hartley off the pole for this one. Again, Payne, Blomqvist, they're at the back. Heimgartner's in here as well. 8 laps to sort out the final 4 drivers to put themselves in the feature. As the red lights come on, let's go racing for the B main. Here from Sonoma Raceway, the rallycross track. Racing Local is green once again. What a launch from the 6. Almost made him 4 wide. But it'll be the 15 that leads him. That's Caleb Nartoa out of turn number 1. Drama on the back.
Just too ambitious under brakes, weren't they? At that first turn, we've got an extra lap in this one as well.
So Nato leading up the front. Brendan Hartley running in second place from Dunstall. We go back to Wade Humble. Oh, 2 of them around, and that's caused the Constantina. Bang, crash, smash. And what a gap. That's Andre Heimgartner who leads. He's got a great lead from almost the entire field in second.
Heimgartner's actually had to tow back to pit lane. He's not actually a race leader. He's out of the event.
Oh.
There's more drama into the fence. One of the Muzz Minion cars. That was Blomqvist.
We're focusing naturally on all the action that's going on here at the moment, but that was really telling before for Brendan Hartley. He was fighting for the race lead, and I think just made a little bit of front to rear contact with the car in front, and then it went pear-shaped for both of them. The net result is Dunstall leads, and Andrew Wade is in the top 3. That's a nice performance.
Matthew Payne has copped a penalty, similar to the E-main. So he's going to have to fend off that again. Hartley's copped one as well. But Payne is 5th, so he's still in with a shout if things go his way. As Dunstall leads them at the moment from Pluck, from Kelly and Waite, the 4 advancing at the moment, as taking the Joker are 2 guys in the background.
And Andrew Waite supporting the Boat Shed Cafe and Bistro at Frankton. Remember, all of our drivers are doing something to support local businesses that are registered with the SOS Business site. For 4 weeks, we've been shining a light on small businesses here in New Zealand that need a bit of love, need a bit of support right at this time.
Great battle for 4th place. You can see it behind. That's Darren Kelly and Matthew Payne switching spots as Payne takes it out of the final corner. Up on 2 wheels, thanks to that sausage curve on the inside. So he's back on a transfer spot, but that penalty means if he stays only this close to the front bumper of Kelly, he'll be back in 5th as Kelly up the inside takes it back away.
Man, Payne is just dialed in, isn't he?
Look at that line. Beautiful. Getting it up to 3rd now.
Challenging for 3rd. Oh, was there a touch?
There was a touch into the right rear quarter panel, sends Pluck out into the tyres.
It's given Darren Kelly an opportunity. Darren Kelly right on the bumper now of Pluck. Firing over the jump. As we ride on board with Darren Kelly. Not as dusty as we've seen, but you can see he hasn't turned the wiper blades on yet. And if he gets to the end of the race like that, he's going to struggle to see.
One of the things about real life that maybe some drivers wish iRacing hadn't implemented is the dirt building up on your screen and wreaking havoc on your ability to actually see where you're going. But a cool feature nonetheless.
Certainly a few comments from some of the top-end pros that we've got in the field about wanting to get back behind the wheel because they're starting to pick up a few bad habits out of iRacing.
There's definitely, you can sense it, can't you, Steve? There's a real, as we gradually work our way out of this, everyone wants to get back behind the wheel for real. But this has been a wonderful thing to do in that period where we've had isolation and where we haven't been able to head to the racetrack or to the rally or to the speedway.
Yes, certainly Speedway over in New Zealand. As with a lot of the other racing, there's still a potential to see a little bit more motorsport before we head to our summer season and start again. Dunstall doing a great job up the front. Wait running in second. And the big dive down the inside. That's for second place. Matthew Payne snatches position. 2 to
Charge
go.
continues. Don't forget, sim racing isn't going to go anywhere. There's still a massive community of sim racers that compete, and the likes of Verstappen and Norris were sim racing even before the pandemic. So Global SimRacing Channel will remain. We've been around for 7 years and probably for 7 more and many, many more after that, broadcasting iRacing events each and every day.
Ryan, you'd have to say it's been although it's been a tough period for lots of people and for small businesses that we've been talking about, it's been huge for esports competition and for the Global SimRacing Channel. It's been fabulous, hasn't it? No matter what the class, whether it's Formula One, the brilliant stuff that the Supercars guys have been doing, or this on a Friday night, organised by the likes of Chris Vanderdrift and Brendan Hartley, it's been a fabulous form of entertainment.
Certainly has. It's been great to keep all these drivers busy and keep us all entertained as well, while supporting the businesses that form the foundation, really, of the country. As Dunstall, out of the final corner, puts his mark on the B-main with a victory, and he will head straight through to the feature. Matthew Payne crosses the line second. Where will the penalty shake him out as Waite comes home third, and Pluck will be fourth.
Well, that's set the scene, hasn't it, for our main event, and that'll be the halfway mark of racing tonight for Racing Local. Brought to you the entire series by the good people from the Giltrap Group. We've had good sponsors come along and individually support various categories that we've covered, but you too watching at home, either on TV3 or watching live on the Facebook page, you too can support these local businesses. We want you to get involved if you can. Give a little, and you can head to the by using the link there on the Facebook page. You can support it too. We'd love to get to the tally of $50,000 if we can at the end of all this.
Confirmation that Matthew Payne does advance straight through to the feature. A 16-car field is ready to go racing. 12 laps for the feature event here. 1 Joker lap needed. That's the shortest route around the circuit on the right-hand side of your screen there. It avoids the jump. And we are getting gritty up for the main event of the rallycross portion of proceedings. Front row is Cockerdon, Stevens, and Lawson. They start 3 wide behind Mitch Evans and Bryce Harding. Then Gisbergen, Partridge, McLaughlin. We've also got Carl Sampson and Harry Edwards up inside the top 10. Will Bamber, Sam Dunstall, Matthew Payne, Andrew Waite, and Matthew Pluck. Your 16-car field as a green flag waves. We're racing for the feature.
Well, down into the first turn, a little bit of contact further back. Matt Stevens leads up front in the HGT machine over the jump for the first time. And, oh, we've seen a massive barrel roll. 1 car going backwards down the track, but it's all what's happening up front. That's important at the moment with Matt Stevens leading. Liam Lawson pushes out wide, drops from second to fourth, and that's Shane Bag Gisbergen that takes the spoils. Cockerdon in front.
Scott McLaughlin is in P9, and Payne, who's been doing a great job right the way through from the E-main now to the main event, is in position 11, so we'll keep an eye on his progress.
Oh, Cocker did an issue out of the penultimate corner, and that's going to drop him way down the order. He might have picked up a slowdown that he's having to clear because he's dropped a lot of time. As Lawson just landed on top of Van Gisbergen coming out of the jump.
That's the way to do it. So a few cars on the Joker laps. Just waiting for them to iron themselves out. Stevens up the front. But look at, there is no gap. Any one of these drivers can take it right now. Dunstall, Van Gisbergen riding with Lawson. Lawson looks to sneak down the inside. takes it from Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen looks for the cross, but gets pushed out wide, and the top two form a gap, only a couple of car lengths. Here comes Lawson again, diving down the inside.
Cops a whack from Dunstall for his troubles, loses out as Van Gisbergen lands on two tyres.
Payne, Connor Adam, Matthew Pluck. Lawson's really auto events and timing, bringing you Rallycross from Sonoma, week 4 Racing Local.
And very shortly, we'll completely change the discipline. Again, the organisers have started on the dirt. Last week it was stadium trucks. Today, for week 4 of Racing Local, we start with Rallycross Sonoma. We're about to go very soon to Monza and race some classic old cars. So the discipline will be very, very different indeed.
Shane Van Gisbergen taking the Joker lap, moving himself into first place, pushing Payne back to second from Dunstall and Stevens. Liam Lawson still running in 5th place. A gap starting to form between Van Gisbergen now and Matthew Payne. Great job as they pull through the final couple of turns and enter back onto the main straight again. Over the jump, the pedal to the metal.
Check out the margin for SVG as Stevens pops into second again with a Joker attempt that time by, puts him ahead of Matthew Payne. Dunstall up ahead of Lawson, so your top 5 covered by only about 3 seconds here, still very close out on the racetrack. As the wipers are ablaze for Van Gisbergen as he flicks it back onto the pavement. This is where he should feel right at home. So too Matthew Payne.
Great driving in the Subaru by Stevens. You can just sense maybe a little bit of frustration from Payne, wanting to clear him, wanting to get by here, but he can't do it.
Liam Lawson's picking up another fast lap. This track's got faster and faster. 3 seconds of difference between what we saw at the start in the heat races. The A main now 38-second bracket.
It's a bit of a gap too, isn't it? Back to Will Bamber. Some 5 seconds between Lawson in 5th, back to Will Bamber in 6th, but it's Gisbergen leading the way by just under a second, 0.8 of a second to Stevens and Payne. Payne looks closer now.
Payne really starting to close the gap, sorry.
He was
just not quite close enough to do it under brakes there.
He was 400ths quicker last time by Will Bamber back in 6th, putting in a 38.8 to put the fastest lap of the race and of the whole event so far down. Stevens, very wide, that's going to hurt him as Payne cops a whack from behind. That's Dunstall who getting into the picture now, and Liam Lawson's bottom through as well.
These guys are battling, and that hurts them because look at the advantage now, 1.6 seconds in clear air for Gisbergen, and Lawson is charging.
Picks them both off at the final corner, puts himself up into 3rd. Great move, capitalises on some contact ahead of Lawson now on the final step of the podium.
Three laps to go for the first half of Racing Local Week 4, the grand finale. Shane Van Gisbergen leads up front, but this is the battle we're watching. Liam Lawson going up against Matt Stevens. Lawson washes out of it, manages to open a gap again, so it's a little bit more work to do if he's going to get onto that battle for Stevens and challenge SVG up front.
Oh, awkward. It was awkward landing for Stevens.
Manages to
Payne
keep it
trying
going,
to cover
though.
off in the background too, isn't he?
Yeah, these 4 are really tight now, battling for the 2nd step on the podium. Kyle Sampson, fastest lap of the race, further back in the field. While they do this, Van Gisbergen is walking away with it though. 2.8 second margin he's got. As Lawson, check out the action. The attitude from that car through that corner.
2 to go.
Some very different lines being taken by these drivers through all the twists and turns on this track as well, which is interesting to see. Look at the defense from Dunstall down the straight.
SVG gone fastest this lap, 38.8.
Oh no! Payne off into the fence.
Dropping down to 7th position for Matt Payne. He's got Sampson, Bamber, Dunstall, Lawson, Stevens and Van Gisbergen in front. And it is the final lap.
A lapped car in front of Van Gisbergen, and that's Harry Edwards. He'll dive up his inside. Out and over the jump comes the 97 Musminian Motorsport car. Shane Van Gisbergen will take the checkered flag. He will win the rallycross portion of week 4 of Racing Local. Matt Stevens will come home second. The podium will be rounded out by Liam Lawson.
Got a feel for Matt Payne, don't you? I mean, what, such an impressive effort to come all that way through and then to have it go pear-shaped for Matthew Payne right near the end.
Heartache indeed for your karting champion from New Zealand. But for him, for everyone else, there's still another chance coming up when we take it to Monza, the historic Monza circuit, in a historic Formula One car as well. Before that, let's take a look at your race results from your feature event. So Shane Van Gisbergen will take out the checkered flag, as we saw, for Stevens, Lawson, Dunsell up in 4th, Bamber 5th, Carl Sampson, Matthew Pluck, Mitch Evans, and Matthew Payne and Andrew Waite. We get top 10. What a shame for Payne.
Most definitely. We'll try and chat to some of the drivers if we can before we move to Monza and change it up. Get into a bit of classic old school Formula One. We might even have to commentate it old school 60 style, hey?
maybe.
Definitely up for the challenge.
Well done to Van Gisbergen. Hasn't he been? I mean, we said it earlier in the coverage. He's been brilliant right across the 4 weeks of that. He's been eager to take part, which I think's incredibly admirable. Can't wait to get back behind the wheel of his Red Bull Holden Racing Team Commodore. But again, on the final week of Racing Local, he shows just how smooth and how good he is in a sim.
You can see the rest of your results there, the final 6 drivers. But here for an interview with us, we've got Mad Mike Wadet himself. Wasn't quite the spectacular charge through the alphabet soup we saw last week, but you still had some pretty wild action out there.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I just got back from the workshop, jumped on, and then I was like trying to get in for qualifying. I managed to just get in, and then ran. I was out the front. Well, in that front, got to the front, and then just got wiped out. It's pretty rough out there, but such a good cause, a lot of fun, and just different discipline, rallycross.
Mike, it's Rusty here. Great that you've been a part of this. We saw on your socials during the week that Link helped out in the stadium truck. Has he cut any laps at all tonight?
Oh man, we've been down working on his MX-5 actually. So now that we're able to go back to workshops, so we've just been going hardcore on that. And then I was like, man, we've got to get up and race. But yeah, I can't take all the credit for last week. Lincoln's definitely been shredding. We're very fortunate. We've got some pretty cool next level racing simulators set up, and Playtech from New Zealand have built the PCs. A whole bunch of Thrustmaster gear, and they're actually linked together so we can drift battle. That's definitely our specialty on this. But last week in the stadium trucks was a lot of fun because we could kind of let loose a little bit.
Mad Mike and Steve here. Mate, I was watching some of those lines and I thought you were pretty good on style. The angle was definitely there and you were definitely on the line. So I thought, even though the results didn't come through, qualifying definitely a 100-point score, mate.
Mate, always got to go for the style, eh?
Mike, we've certainly enjoyed having you out there. I spoke to a few drivers and they've now started calling the Wild West circuit, doing it full Mad Mike style and backing the car in. Were you up on the hydro handbrake at the time?
Oh, mate, all over it. Like our setup is, I've tried to make them as close as possible to our actual cars, and they've been great training for my son Link. He's just turned 12, and just coordination and the tracks. And I mean, this iRacing platform is incredible. You look at the likes of SVG and Hartley and all the top boys, all testing, and they're in the same disciplines as they race in, and the accuracy and time. So yeah, it's cool. The handbrakes get a workout of it. Even in the rally cars, I set it up so I think you can change it so it's auto blip and paddle shift, but I've got stick shift with full handbrake and clutch, and that's a lot of fun. It's a good workout.
Oh, it's fantastic, Mad Mike. And of course, the Mad Mike and Link show out in the iRacing. You, of course, we'll see it through your social media and your YouTube channel that we've seen you and Link designing and creating an amazing MX5 rotary powered machine. Thanks very much for talking to us, Mikey. I think we're going to move on after you to Shane Van Gisbergen.
Indeed, let's have a chat to, once again, our race winner, Shane Van Gisbergen, who just can't stop winning here in sim racing, can you?
Hey guys, yeah, that was fun.
It looked like a lot of fun out there. You had quite a bit of time to rest after the qualifying and the heats because you went through the E, the D, the C, the B. You was out the sidelines. What's the wait like? You just chilling out in Discord there, having a laugh, watching your teammates try to...
Yeah, we got a few of the Muzz Motorsport boys, so we were watching all them carve through. Tom Blomqvist was going awesome till he had a mistake, but yeah, awesome fun. So, and then the final was a bit of a battle at the start, and then thankfully they got held up a bit, and I just had a bit of a gap, which was nice.
Shane, I know you've said in the coverage you can't wait to get back behind the wheel of the real deal as well. So obviously Supercars have let people know when the championship's going to recommence. How are you going with all the preparation for that? And you'd spent some good quality family time in New Zealand, but I guess Australia is going to quickly become the focus again.
Yeah, I don't think I'll go back till 2 weeks before Sydney maybe, and then quarantine in Sydney before the race. I haven't worked it out, but I'm pretty happy here in New Zealand. No clouds in the sky today. It was mint, so I don't really want to leave this place, but I am ready to go racing again, so I'm a bit conflicted.
Good on you.
Shane, it was a beautiful day today, as you said. Talking about some of the stuff you've been doing, we've seen a lot of iRacing with you at different circuits and different styles of racing. Do you have a favourite discipline when you're out there racing in the iRacing world?
Nah, just racing. I hate qualifying and practice, just like getting on with it, so... Yeah, the racing stuff is fun. The heat format these guys do is good. So, yeah, just love the racing, man.
And SVG Ryan here again. Just obviously the last few weeks for you, you've been a massive part of sim racing in Australia, New Zealand, and globally even. More so than ever before. You've been part of sim racing for quite some time though. When you go back to the real stuff, you gotta keep doing the whole iRacing, sim racing event thing, maybe at a bigger portion than you did before when you get the time.
Yeah, I don't really like to take sim racing seriously. I just do it for fun. So these nights are awesome, and we're having fun, bunch of mates, and doing it for a good cause. Obviously, the supercars stuff we're doing is really serious, but always love getting on the sim and just having fun, and it's quite good for concentration. It's not good for driving; you get a lot of bad habits, but for concentration and concentrating on something for a long time, it's really good. So that's why I do a lot of it.
Hey, we'll let you go just quickly. Are you looking forward to getting in the old rig and running around Monza?
Man, this thing is a piece of junk, but I'm sure in its heyday it was awesome. But around the oval we're doing 330k, and there's a jump out of the oval, and if you get it perfect, it's flat. But I've done it 10 times, and I've probably got it flat once, and I've crashed every other time. I've turned it into a canoe, so it's gonna be pretty loose. And I think with 30 of us or whatever in the final, it's gonna be crazy. So whoever gets out of that first oval straight will win the race, probably.
Go well, and thanks for talking to us.
Right on. Cheers, guys.
There he is, Shane Van Gisbergen. Now, guys, have we got time to quickly talk to someone else? I know Greg Murphy might be standing by, and
Sure can.
Craig Lord as well.
Sure can. Let's have a chat to Greg Murphy then. It came unstuck pretty early on, but still a lot of fun out there. Had to have been in the rallycross. Murphy, it's Ryan Jones here at the Global SimRacing Channel booth. You got a copy on us, mate?
Oh, I got it, mate. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Came unstuck early on. Yeah, rallycross for you. We look forward to Monza now. Hoping it turn things around and display some more speed on a track where you may be a little bit more comfortable on the road.
Mate, I am so not comfortable with what's going on out there. It is ridiculously hard. Now, I'm just braking it from 320 kilometres an hour or 330 kilometres an hour at the end of the straight at Monza, and then you've got to pull this thing up. I don't know if it's just my braking technique or it's something wrong with something else, but my God, I've not mastered one lap yet.
Murph, it's Rusty here. You've been working away, getting more and more used to that Motion 4 sim. Do you feel in this final week like you're a bit more in tune with it?
No, Rusty. No, I don't. I feel at all, actually. I was hoping that some of the time I've been spending was going to make a bit of a difference and move forward, but this week has proven that I think I've gone backwards. I think the rallycross thing, I was thinking I'm going to, channel some of my rallying ability there, and qualified, I don't know, near the back somewhere, and it was just, got worse from there. So anyway, this has been, again, a great thing for everything that we've been doing, and raising some money for local businesses. So at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, and hopefully anyone that has been watching has been enjoying the hilarity and the craziness. And there's going to be some massive shunts in this last race. I'm just watching someone pirouetting through the air upside down. I really feel for the real blokes back in the day.
Talking about the real blokes, Murph, 1967 is when this car was designed by Colin Chapman. Also the same year that the late, great Denny Hulme won the World Drivers' Championship in the Formula One. Are you feeling like an F1 driver out there, and have you tasted any bugs flying and hitting your face?
Mate, I am a big fan of bugs on the visor. Big fan of that. So that's where I sort of cut my teeth back in the day. So there's nothing wrong with getting your helmet dirty, but trying to channel what these blokes went through back in the day. There's some amazing stories, that we have heard, and I remember talking to Chris Amon about racing here back in the 60s. So I can't imagine it, because they were real men, real heroes.
Greg Murphy there. Thank you for talking to us. Enjoy the rest of the night, or rest of racing local. And Murph, supporting the Common Room Bar, Hastings.
Check out that site. That is what 62 Lotus 49 machines look like when they're lined up down on pit road. And you can see just how small they are. Big wheelbase on them. They really stick out, don't they? The engine is pretty much fully exposed at the back. They're a cool piece of kit, aren't they?
Those things there are just, I can't even fathom how they're going to get in there. Obviously, we're going to see that Formula Ford style lock-to-lock, bouncing over wheels. You've mentioned jumps. We've seen the rallycross. I think we're going to see it out here for the second half of Racing Local Week number 4, the grand finale. Of course, this race brought to you by the Giltrap Group, and a big thank you to Sir Colin and to everybody else from the team at Giltrap Group. Of course, without people like them, SOS, and all the other sponsors, we can't put together an amazing spectacle like we have over the last 4 weeks.
We are going to let every single car loose for the feature, so it's going to be a massive field around this historic Monza circuit. The way we get there, we've got a 10-minute qualifying with 2 laps, just the same as the heat format that we had for the rallycross portion. We got 2 heat races, 3 laps each, with everyone going through. Top 5 at the end of each heat will be inverted, though, when you get to the feature. So we'll have a reverse top 10 for the main event, which should make things very interesting. And you can see there's 3 different lanes on the main straight now. One's the exit to Parabolica, one's the exit to the Oval, and one's pit lane. As we head through to qualifying now, the session's been advanced, and we'll get some action out on the track. And then we'll see just what that jump is like coming out of the oval section when you complete your lap. Lap times are up at around 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes 40 even. So expect quite some time before we get our first lap time down. But we'll cast our eyes trackside now and see what we can find.
Christian Hermanson, 298.99 and getting faster kilometers an hour. Looking a little bit taller than Christian Hermanson. Same glasses, though.
Check this, how bumpy this oval section is. And then, if you get a shot, hopefully it shows us a picture. When he comes out of turn 4 here, check out the jump. As the track flattens out, right there, you get some airtime. Now, you do not want to be side by side when you do that. And as Van Gisbergen told us in the interview, you can take it flat, but it's extremely sketchy to do so. You can get it wrong very easily. He himself's got it wrong 9 times out of 10. So, well, that should be a very wild moment on the racetrack. So good to see the historic Monza layout here in iRacing as well.
And to sort of tip our hat to the classic cars as well. The Lotus 49, that magic Ford Cosworth 90-degree V8. They sound superb, don't they? But they are a handful, as you rightly point out.
Well, Brendan Hartley certainly pouring on one of the toughest styles of driving car in the iRacing. The final night, the final race of Racing Local. We've been doing it 4 weeks. Oh, there's one hanging in a fence.
How did he end up there? He's got that jump wrong, I dare say. Andre Heimgartner's going to try to face up. Oh. The front end lifts up. And the back end almost stays glued to the track due to the weight in the rear end thanks to that engine. But if you do take it flat, I do believe all 4 tyres jump off the air, and you can see the wheel work that has to go in if you get it slightly wrong, but try and catch it. There's not much room for error too if you do go for a slide. There's a fence tucked up on either side of you there coming out of the corner as well. It does make you wonder, like, so much more respect for those drivers back in the day. Racing in these cars, they had to do that, coming out of that corner. This track is laser scanned, so it's all 100% accurate.
And Ryan, you know, when we finally get back to being able to travel again to European and big international destinations, fans watching must go and check out Monza. Obviously, they still run a Formula One race there now, but you can go to the old banking when you walk around the park there, and I've seen friends go and take pictures and stand on the banking. It's crazy.
Taylor Cockenden comes down the main straight for the end of his lap. So you come out of Parabolica to finish your lap, I believe. Yeah, you do. So you come out of pit lane, straight into the oval, and then you do the normal Monza circuit with the chicanes. Coming out of Parabolica, you complete your lap and then head back towards the banking.
Rusty, one of the things that we've seen over the years is safety in Formula One, and this is why we don't see, that's a guy out there with a helmet on and something across his face. There's no roll bars, no anything, and it's also a big reason why we're not seeing that track run as an everyday track with jumps and things like that in it, the safety in the sport.
Steve, I chatted with the late, great Sir Jack Brabham on several occasions, and he would often talk about how they would, you know, lose friends regularly during the year. In fact, 1970, you know, he lost some very close friends and had a big impact on him and his decision about whether to continue in the sport. So it was an enormously brave period. They did, you know, Bruce McLaren and some of the people in that era did some amazing things in an engineering sense with what they developed with these cars. But yes, safety has come a long way. But quite rightly, when you look at the cars and what they did, I mean, this particular car in real terms only weighed 530 kilos, 400-odd horsepower engine. It's actually quite a quick, it could really accelerate this car, and they were brave drivers. Reaching
Speeds over 300 kilometers an hour too, about 350 with a double toe after sitting in the sim as well. Which is mind-boggling considering that, you know, it's up around the speeds they get these days in Formula One. They hit 350. They do get about 360 in some tracks, but
you know, Ryan, it's just such a fast venue on the calendar, isn't it?
Yeah, Temple of Speed. It's called that for a reason. As we finally get our first times in, 6 minutes into the session, that's a completely out lap before they could begin their flying lap. Matthew Payne, he's up at the front again. Liam Lawson second. Brendan Hartley third. He's been in an F1 car at this track, but probably can't correlate too much between the different versions.
The ride height that these drivers are actually sitting, and that would have been really difficult for the old neck and and everything. The helmets would have weighed about 3 times more, even though they're half the size.
What were they made out of back in the day? Any of you know?
Well, you're talking about an aluminium monocoque, front subframe, you know, fully stressed engine, front suspension, lower wishbone. What else can we tell you? I mean, as I said before, just 530 kilos, so they're quite a powerful machine, but boy, they move around, don't they?
And the wooden steering wheel. There's one thing I was looking at when I saw the what classes we were racing was who's going to go for an old school livery and who's going to just wrap it like you would any other car and just throw something. We're certainly nice to see some of the older, the nod back to the Chris Amons, the Denny Holmes.
Hard to go past that famous British racing green and gold, isn't it?
It's a beautiful colour. Certainly harks back to the old racing of the old days when I guess in the prime time. Home of the Tifosi. Certainly my favourite race of the year. I was always a great fan of listening to an Italian national anthem. Generally, in my case, along with a German one, because it meant Michael Schumacher had just won the race.
Let's not forget Charles Leclerc won there last year, didn't he? And in the red car, and the Tifosi went crazy.
Yeah, that was a fantastic moment. The Ferrari to get that victory back at Monza once again. And hopefully we get to see it this year if it remains on the calendar.
One of the things that you don't ever want to do is if you're in a Formula One car going down the front straight, if you have an off or anything and you've got to retire and your car sits on the front straight, quite often it'll be a write-off if it doesn't get picked up at the very end of the race, it's a write-off because when the Tifosi jump the fence and cheer for their Ferrari winner, they will take every piece of that car they possibly can. I remember Alain Prost's team back in, I think it was the late 90s, maybe the early 2000s, saying, I'd lost my car at Monza because the fans took it all.
Wow. Kind of crazy to think about that, actually.
Considering the steering wheel.
Qualifying here.
Shane Van Gisbergen, current lap 103. Haven't seen his sectors. That's a cool looking car. Gizzy's got his glasses on. He's got a little bit of. He's gone for the what is it? The N94 mask.
I don't know, but he's gone to the top of the sheets by 0.4 of a second. Look how tight that main straight is as well. Gonna provide a bit of drama. We get the race underway. So Van Gisbergen's quick again. Almost goes without saying. In sim racing, he's always quick, isn't he? The double exhaust, check out the back of these cars as well.
I think as Steve pointed out at the beginning of the coverage tonight, he's just good in anything, isn't he? I mean, you look at his background and the kind of cars that that he's raced and come through in category sense, and what his dad used to do as well. So,
real or virtual, he is just amazing in whatever he decides to commit himself to. Chris Wall's back in 32nd at the moment. A 2:38.013, his fastest lap so far. He's just going to get this one in before the checkered flag falls on the session. Will it be enough to put himself up the order? No, it's invalidated, so lap doesn't count. Which means he has to start.
Russ, you mentioned Gizzy's dad, Cheese. I wonder if he's actually sat in the behind the wheel of one of Gizzy's simulators in Australia or New Zealand and actually had a bit of a crack.
What do you think the reaction would be?
I think Shane would be rolling his eyes, but Cheese would have the biggest smile, wouldn't he?
Absolutely. You'll often see him on the grid at supercars events. He just loves it. So that wraps up qualifying. We'll take a look at how things are going to play out here. We've got some heat racing and, of course, a main event to come as well.
Just 3 laps to this 28 car, Heat 1. Of course, it's such a long racetrack. Will Bamber, Scott McLaughlin, Brendan Hartley, Tom Blomqvist, Shane Van Gisbergen in your top 5. I mean, does it get any more star-studded than that? There you go, you can see the grid up on your screen.
Shane Van Gisbergen starts off pole with Liam Lawson on the outside, Tom Blomqvist and Matthew Payne, Brendan Hartley on row 3 with Sam Dunstall, Scotty McLaughlin on row 4 with James Watson, Will Bamber and Matthew Pluck. That's your top 10.
Quick thank
fact,
you as
that
well to the Giltrap group
isn't
supporting this one.
I don't think that grid's actually quite correct, unfortunately. So you can check your timing at gsrc.tv if you want to see exactly where your favourite driver is, or cast your eyes to the left-hand side of the screen in a moment when we go racing to see where they stand in the leaderboard. The heat races do wreak havoc on iRacing timing screens. As we get ourselves ready, as the revs rise, as we go back in time, and we go racing at historic Monza, and a very good launch from Scott McLaughlin. He will lead them on to the oval. Here we go.
Magic sounding Cosworth V8s on the banking.
And a number
Look
of
at
these
the run on
drivers
the
already
outside.
getting into the slipstream, as you can see them racing down 4-5 wide, hustling for position.
What a sight. 3 wide, down towards turn 3. They sort themselves out. Very hard to actually keep track of who's who in this gaggle of cars. As we come on to the straight, we hold our breath, wanting the fence. He held it together. Oh,
what
there's
we
a crash
came
in
to
the
see.
back. Someone goes for a wild tumble.
Can we get an
And onto the
intro of that
brakes.
one?
Oh no, someone's horribly misjudged it. That's Van Gisbergen. He slides straight through the corner, and there's a big drama behind as well.
That crash in the background, I mean, that was like a midget pirouetting just incredible amount of turns. Net result is Blomqvist looks like he's leading this from Bamber.
Brendan Hartley running in 3rd position. And wow, there's action all over this track at the moment, isn't there? As they ride the curves, bounce up, and if they get it wrong, they're going upside down.
A lot of drivers struggled on the brakes. Scott McLaughlin ended up on his roof down there at turn 1, normal turn 1 chicane. The braking on these cars is horrible, really. It's a massive adjustment to what they're used to in any car, real or virtual, which definitely caught a lot of them out.
Hats off to Mitch Evans, up to P6 at the moment. Blomqvist leads the way from Brendan Hartley, now P2. Then Shane Van Gisbergen in 3rd.
Riding on board with Blinko in 4th position. Shane Van Gisbergen up in front of him in the 97 car. Van Gisbergen starting to form a slight gap as he challenges for 2nd place. It's going to be an inside dive as we see another car upside down, up and over. It was Mitch Evans.
A replay here. Loses it as a story and collected, and skyward he goes.
Evans with nowhere to go. You feel for him, that car stricken on the road, and then Evans hit him a decent pace, and he was in a solid position in about 6th.
Look at the scrap for the lead. The top 4 all in each other's slipstream here. It's Blomqvist with Van Gisbergen pulling to the inside. Brendan Hartley there as well. And Zach Blinko back and forth, side by side. Hartley and Blomqvist struggling as 2 of them whack the fence. The bumps up on the oval make this really difficult to hold your line.
And I say, old boy, is a ding-dong battle up front, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is. As we go 3 wide, and there's an inside dive again. Is Van Gisbergen going to outbrake himself again this time? Looks like he's going to make the turn. And it's Hartley who leads the way. Brendan Hartley in the 28.
Well,
Van
just 1 week
Gisbergen
ago
second.
here on Racing Local, it was a great bit of strategy, wasn't it? They worked together, both Chris Vanderdrift and Brendan Hartley. Hartley would ultimately finish in 3rd, but that was IndyCars at Michelin. This is a very different story. Old school, classic Formula 1 cars on the original Monza layout.
A slowdown for Hartley, I dare say, through the 2nd chicane. He has to drop back to 3rd behind Blomqvist and Van Gisbergen now. Top 4 have pulled a nice little handy margin back to Will Bamber back in 5th as well. About 3 seconds clear. Look at this between Nartoa and Cockadin. for 6th place. Here's the slipstream for Cockenden. Pulls to the outside, wrong side of the track, throw for Ascari.
Natoa has to yield, doesn't he?
Yeah, rolled off and let him go. Probably the safer of the two options there. There is Bamba. Sitting in 4th, Blinko 5th. Blinko's had an issue then to drop back to 5th. It's a shame for him. Remember, this is just the heat race. Everyone's going to advance through the feature, but this is going to set the grid for it. As we head back to that wild ride onto the oval for the final time in this heat, it's Van Gisbergen and Blomqvist with the margin back to the Hartley of about a second. Look at that.
This is in 1967. There'd be a cameraman hanging out the back end of his car, holding on, shooting from behind. Tom Blomqvist takes the inside pass on Shane Van Gisbergen and Brendan Hartley. Less than a second back as they get back up onto the oval again.
Can they make it out of the jump one last time here on this heat race?
Let's hope
Look at
not.
the run that Hartley's got behind, as well as... Oh, that was wild for Van Gisbergen. Here comes Hartley to the inside. What a run he's got as they jump on the brake pedal from maximum speed. Van Gisbergen trying to launch it back up the inside. They make contact.
So Gizzy gets it. We've got back markers up in front. Van Gisbergen looks for the inside line. The back marker comes straight off the track. As we look at this top 3, who is going to take the win? Still a lot of racetrack left.
Looks like Nartoa and Krasn have had to tow back to pit lane. So they're out of the event, unfortunately. Or out of the heat, I should say. This could be a very big battle to the line here between Van Gisbergen and Blomqvist, and Hartley as well. Because they got a lot of straight line and slipstream opportunity now until they get to that line. Look for the exit out of a sky to be crucial for these guys.
And don't forget, every single driver will enter the final race. 60 cars will line up. This is only a heat race. Using up every little piece of track he can. Shane Van Gisbergen up front.
It should be enough. It needs to be smooth on the brakes. Down into Parabolica for the final time in heat race number 1 here at the historic Monza circuit. Out of the final quarter, Shane Van Gisbergen. The run for Blomqvist though. Here comes Blomqvist side by side to the line. Who gets it? To the start finish stripe. It'll be Van Gisbergen that wins the first heat race. Oh, behind them, in the fence, and up and over he goes. That was Cockenden in a drag race with Will Bamba. Definitely the loser on that one.
They certainly built those cars strong back in the 1960s, didn't they? Let's have a look at it from the chopper cam back in 1960.
Wow.
Wheel to wheel, hits the inside wall and then goes flying.
They were split by less than 1/10 of a second at the line, so he really had a good go.
There's some more action. That one there's the same car that started rolling at the start of the race. He hasn't finished. Sam Waddell, New Zealand Super Saloon Car Champion. Here goes another one.
He's got that wrong.
So, Rusty, I couldn't help but notice there was at one stage during the race, there was 6 of the top 10 that had come out of the Elite Academy that we've got here in New Zealand, the Elite Racing Academy. David Turner, a trustee of that.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think there's some news in relation to that happening next week. I think DT is hosting a Zoom, so we'll no doubt find out about who the success stories coming out of that camp were, and who some of the bright stars of the future are here in New Zealand. And haven't we had, based on the lineup in this series, a great talent pool in years gone by, great mentors to draw from for these young men and women as the next generation comes through.
And 23 of them tonight came out of the Elite Academy. So it's great to see a proving ground for New Zealand motorsport to grow them into bigger things and to see them in the shining lights such as Formula One, etc. Ryan, let's get ready for action.
Revs rise, red lights are ablaze, green flag drops, we're racing for the second heat race. Good start for Watson. Look at that, from a couple rows back, straight through to your race lead. That's Matthew Payne with a monstrous run.
Well, Matthew Payne running the centre line. He's got Watson, Pluck, Liam Lawson as well. Dunstall and Stevens, that's the top 6. Vanderdrift as well. And a clean start this time for almost all the field.
Look for this massive shake-up down the straight. Oh, there's a crash in the back. The drivers at the front keep it clean as Payne goes backwards with no one to help him along. And that pushes Liam Lawson out to the front of the field. Side by side behind in the fence and turn around. That's going to be a big drama. Huge crash on the corner.
I'm just trying to understand which driver that was, but the moment it ran right up on the high line, brushed the wall, it turned the car hard right, and into now another one.
Someone completely misjudged that from a long, long way back. That was Andrew Waite. He missed the marker completely and cleans up everyone at the front who'd pulled it up beautifully well compared to the first heat race, which is a big shame.
And
Andre Heimgartner stayed out of trouble and now finds himself in position 4.
And Greg Murphy into the top 10.
Heimgartner started this on 22nd. That's impressive. Up in front, Stevens runs wide with the first of the 2 Lesmos, and Matthew Payne slips on by. Heimgartner on board with him as you look at the back now of Stevens' Lotus 49.
Andre supporting Little Things Coffee Shop in Glenfield tonight.
Dunstall was off in the grass and the Sancho, but Ascari, that's him off in the distance. And that's going to give some big speed to the guys behind. He had a big enough of a margin that it doesn't affect him too much in terms of track position. But he won't want to do that again, that's for sure.
You see, just like Formula One, these drivers using every piece of track they can get their hands on.
Heimgartner picks off Stevens down at Parabolica. But now we head back onto the main straight. And it's flat out from here for the next couple kilometres or so. It's 10 kilometres in length, this racetrack. Stevens comes right back at him for 3rd. Or 4th place, sorry.
Well, it's good to see they've turned the damage off tonight because there would be probably 3/4 of the field not actually finishing the race.
I think you're right about that. Is all trying to get in each other's slipstream down this back straight of the oval section. They all close up. And Heimgartner almost into the back of Stevens. Payne almost into the back of Dunstall. They're both 2x2 now, these guys, as they come out of the oval. Let's see if this all works out nicely for them. Over the jump, side by side. They get through there nicely. Good job.
Heimgartner looks hungry here, doesn't he? And dives down through the centre, picks up a couple of places and maybe even more under brakes here. Beautiful stuff, Andre Heimgartner.
Dunstall found a lot of pace late on the braking zone there to pick off Stevens as well. Now tucked right up under the rear exhaust pipes of Heimgartner's car. Stevens has the momentum up on the outside. And look at this, Quinn behind them's joining the party as well. On board with Callum Quinn. Looking at that wooden steering wheel, too wide in front of him. They sort themselves out. You can see how early they have to brake for these corners as well, as Dunstall throws it up the inside of Heimgartner. They're still side by side coming out of the corner, and Stevens now has the run. He's got nowhere to go though.
While they're scrapping, Ryan, it's been good for Payne. Payne now has a little bit of breathing space, nearly 2 seconds.
But it's still 4 seconds up the road to Liam Lawson, who leads away. But Payne Dunstall, Heimgartner. That's the battle to watch. Further back, though, we've got Stevens, Quinn, Darren Kelly. Edwards battling with Ethan Cook as well. I've seen those two switching positions quite a few times during the lap.
Side by side again. This time Heimgartner looking up high and wide. As they come back to the main straight, they'll get the white flag, this time by for heat race number 2 here at Monza. Final lap for these drivers, and it's anyone's game for the final steps on the podium in this heat race.
Absolutely beautiful liveries, as we see. It was Dunstall that went fastest this time, side by side. You don't get much closer than that.
Being squeezed right up to the fence was Heimgartner there. He managed to hold his line beautifully and not hit anything. The car or the fences. Look at Stevens through the middle.
And fastest lap from him too, Ryan. 2-minute 33.158. Meantime, it is a masterclass on the final lap from Liam Lawson with a 4.4 second advantage.
That fastest lap was actually Stevens' relative, Daniel Stevens, back in the pack, who picked up that. Heimgartner whacked the fence through the oval, drops a fair bit of time. He's back to 6th now behind Colin Quinn.
Well, it's the final lap of the race. Liam Lawson leads away from Payne, Dunstall, Stevens, Heimgartner, Quinn, and Darren Kelly. Edwards, Pluck, and Eaton. That's your top 10. Liam Lawson riding at 270 kilometres an hour.
Been
Hard
very
onto the
comfortable
brakes
so far.
There's Matthew Payne driving in the true colours of Lotus, the 8 on the side.
Well, he's at home in an open-wheel car, isn't he? It's a massive departure from the open wheel that he's used to in Formula 3, but I'm sure some similarities remain, and he's using them to his advantage now. As out front in the Lotus 49 from 1967, we see the historic Monza track being used as well. One of the beauties of being able to go virtual racing as we get to see these awesome combinations we can't see anymore. As he makes his way down towards Parabolica, he should have this one all sewed up.
Well, the youngster, we've certainly seen him. 4.5 the gap back between Liam Lawson, we ride with at the moment, and Matthew Payne. Liam Lawson, we've seen him behind the wheel of some amazing cars in the Toyota Racing Series and much, much more. He's doing a great job, Ryan.
And across the start, finish stripe, Liam Lawson picks up their second heat race here from Monza. Matthew Payne home in second. Dunstall wins out that great battle with Matt Stevens, who that time by puts in the fastest lap of the race.
We've seen him running up front in the past few weeks, haven't we, Liam Lawson? He's clearly mastered the sim, driver on the move internationally, and this season is a big one for him.
His second season in the FIA Formula 3 Championship, after picking up 2 podiums last year at Silverstone and at Monza. So this is actually a track with good history for him.
He revelled in that heat, didn't he? But it's all about the main event, the feature. I'm a little bit sad, guys. Final race of Racing Local.
Doing it for a great cause, for all the local businesses right across the country who need your help in these tough times. These professionals giving back to the businesses that helped them out as they rose up through the ranks. It was those small businesses that forked out to help them, and they're giving back how they can now, and you can give back too at the link up in the chat or in the description. They give a little link, and you can donate to the cause and add to the $30,000 we've raised so far over the 4 weeks to this point.
Gentlemen, let's talk about a few. Let's talk about a few highlights that you guys have had during Racing Local. For me, I don't know if it goes past Mad Mike backing it in last week. Wild West, so many different things. Rusty?
Just some of the youngsters that we've seen from the likes of Liam Lawson, Matthew Payne. I mean, he's been a great story as well. Some of them have been real mainstays no matter what category or venue that we've been to. But I think the genesis of this whole thing, Ryan was kind of touching it touching on it a moment ago, and that is the fact that we flipped it 180. It was the small businesses that were supporting these young racers when they were climbing the ladder and have continued to do so throughout their careers. Now it's these small businesses that need a bit of support, and it's really good that the likes of Brendan Hartley and Christian Hermanson and Chris Vanderdrift and their respective partners, Barry Tomlinson as well for that matter, have come up with this concept to give back to those that helped them in the very beginning.
We've seen drivers from...
Go ahead, Steve.
We've seen drivers from Le Mans and Hartley, 2 times champions. We've seen Formula One drivers as well, same person. Toyota Racing Series, the V8 Supercars, Kart Sports, Speedway. So many disciplines all getting together to hit that goal that you're talking about, Rusty. And it's been incredible to watch. Just like what we're seeing now.
We are getting ready for the feature. The drivers are about to start gridding up. For the final time in Racing Local, we look to the starting grid, and the drivers are going to get ready to let loose 62 cars around the historic Monza circuit. Van Gisbergen and Lawson in your front row, Tom Blomqvist and Matthew Payne on row 2, Brendan Hartley from 5th, Sam Dunstall and Will Bamber 6th and 7th ahead of Matt Stevens, Taylor Cockerton and Callum Quinn, your top 10.
Look at those opening rows. It's just stacked with stars, isn't it? Can't believe we have got such a massive grid of cars for this one. I think we're in for some action.
Oh, you bet we are. You saw how much chaos, drama that was. One last time in Racing Local, we hear the glorious notes of the engines as they rise to maximum RPM. And they drop their hammer and go racing under the green flag. Van Gisbergen gets away poorly. Now he's caught on the outside of Payne and Tom Blomqvist down into the oval. It's Liam Lawson that leads them.
Liam Lawson leads the way. A huge thank you to Giltrack Group taking sponsorship of the second half of the racing. Week number 4, the grand finale, and look at those cars racing down the straight here. Humphreys, Blomqvist takes it, Van Gisbergen in second. Who's it going to be? There's still 8 laps to go.
This is wild. On the banking at Monza, it's like Speedway. There's all sorts of... I mean, this is not IndyCar. That was last week at Michigan. This is at Monza.
Oh, right out sideways, collected. He goes around right in front of the pack. This is going to be huge.
And some of these drivers have literally been bounced over to the other side of the track. It's not going to be easy. We see another one go around. That was that Craig Lord? He's in the purple car, but it's Connor Adams who leads up front. Blomqvist running in second. Shane Van Gisbergen lucky to stay out of it as well. Same with Brendan Hartley. There's certainly a lot of top drivers stuck back there, Rusty.
Steve, as you rightly pointed out, you could see the Red Bull car spinning as it all began to unfold. The big loser, unfortunately, is Liam Lawson. Disappeared right from the top of the leaderboard.
Matthew Payne just got unsettled coming off the jump. And as he did so, Liam Lawson just tagged his left rear. And it sent them both around, and the domino effect as so many drivers got caught up in the huge calamity down that main straight. And as you mentioned, Steve, a lot of them actually getting bounced to the other side of the racetrack, which means they're in for a world of hurt for the rest of this one. That was absolutely massive. You mentioned it's like Speedway racing. Well, that was the big one that we normally see in NASCAR.
Well, that certainly went everywhere, including the other side of the track. But I guess the battle now was 7 to go. Connor Adams, we see another car firing off in the distance. Blomqvist, Van Gisbergen, Dunstall, Hartley. McLaughlin, a name that we haven't heard tonight, so far back in the grid.
We might take a look at that big incident again in just a moment's time and try and understand it. The meantime, I should say, Connor Adam, who works for the IMS team of Lyle Williamson as an apprentice mechanic, came out of karting.
Here comes Van Gisbergen. Back to the front, the shuffle continues between these drivers at the head of the field. Van Gisbergen leads Blomqvist and Sam Dunstall right up there as well now. Brendan Hartley lurking in 4th place as well. A 3-car scrap back there for 5th. 3 wide down the back straight they go. And Van Gisbergen is one that loses out from 1st to 4th.
Ryan, I'd need to go back to qualifying and look at the numbers, but I reckon these lap times are the fastest we've seen so far. They're doing 2-minute 30s around the 10-kilometre ladder on the wall.
No way does he save that. Tom Blomqvist, that is the save of the night right there. Up on the fence at 330 kilometres an hour, and he keeps on going.
Clips the Armco, goes up and somehow keeps it pointing in the right direction. Back to 4th. Nice save.
Incredible composure.
Well, composure's got to be what wins the race today as we see the inside pass. Dunstall on Hartley, I think it was this time here. Oh, gets it sideways, but manages to regather. A couple of further cars bouncing around in the back of the grid.
At the head of that next pack is Mitch Evans, guys.
Dunstall had that car hanging out the rear end completely sideways off that corner as he kicked up throttle in a bit too early. And the rear end complained under the duress and the torque from that engine. Let's take a look at that replay while we've got a little bit of a breather here of that massive incident that occurred down that main straight.
So this is the start of the race. Oh, sorry, the first lap, and look at them go, Ryan. There's Liam Lawson off.
We'll back it up just a bit here. That's when he gets flicked sideways, and look at the domino effect.
Crazy.
About 7 or 8 cars involved in that as we go right back to the front because Blomqvist and Hartley are side by side. Blomqvist takes it away. Dunstall still looking in 30s. We sat there for a lap now, just biding his time potentially as he gives a bump draft at the back of Brendan Hartley. And Mitch Evans has joined the fight now in 5th.
Yeah, Mitch Evans is absolutely in the game here and he knows Monza well.
Holding our breath again as we get towards that jump. And they make it through cleanly. The defense, the contact, riding the wall. Over he goes.
That's huge.
Sam Dunstall lands it on all 4 tyres, but unfortunately, that'll take him out of the fight.
And Mitch Evans is now up into 3rd.
So this is riding on board with Dunstall.
Now, did he get hit from behind, or did he just drive into him himself?
That's the view from the onboard. I think what's really telling is that he had a little bit of a lift for the jump as they came off the banking. Was he tagged? I reckon he's been tagged. Is that what's happened?
I think you're right. Check out the 2 cars that drove underneath them, though, as he was flipping through the air.
At one stage, I thought he'd land in Hockenheim. Back up front, though, it's Brendan Hartley leads, Shane Van Gisbergen, Mitchell Evans. It's still anyone's race, 6 laps to go.
Can we just talk about the fact that we have, in a Lotus 49, the old Monza layout, a World Endurance Champion, a Supercars Champion, and a Formula E racer? I mean, who would have ever thought?
Well,
and it's like they're recreating that great movie by James Garner called Grand Prix back in the day.
Five laps to go, and we cross the stripe here. Getting towards the halfway mark as they run side by side again. That's Van Gisbergen filtering back to the front. It's a 3-car scrap now. It's about a second back to Reed Harker in 4th, Partridge in 5th.
Such an incredible track. Absolute historic, and I love seeing it when I watch a Formula One race today and I'm watching them fly down the front straight. I always imagine them turning right, and with Racing Local, we actually get to see them do it.
Harker's going to make this a four-way fight, isn't he?
The triple slipstream, working a treat for him as he joins the party.
As we see another one go around further back, up and over. But this is definitely the place we want to watch, with Shane Van Gisbergen and Brendan Hartley, Mitch Evans and Harker. A couple of seconds gap to Bamber and Partridge.
But they keep chipping away there. I mean, Bamber's down to 2.3 seconds now.
We saw it earlier on in some of the racing between Shane Van Gisbergen and Scott McLaughlin working as a team to try and slipstream themselves back up. Are we going to see the same sort of effort further back with Bamber and Partridge? They need to get on this battle. This is the only piece on the track, because we're seeing Shane Van Gisbergen now start to form a gap between himself and those back three.
That's a great point you make, and it's nearly under 2 seconds now. So that is clearly what he's trying to do.
Well, they're getting a distant slipstream effect, aren't they? And the closer they get, the more powerful it becomes, and the quicker they'll close in. I love the exposed engine on these cars. We talk about all the reliability issues nowadays in Formula One, don't we, Rusty? Limited to 6 engines per year, I believe, or in all the different parts are limited. I mean, these are exposed engines. How many must they have gone through back in the day?
No MG UK and no KERS style technology attached to these things, just classic old school, that magic sounding Cosworth. Look at the trumpets sticking up in the air there. You saw before some of the shots some of you boys were talking about, just in terms of driver safety in the cars themselves. What about in terms of the apparel and how far we've come with apparel and helmet safety too in that time?
I love that we've even got the old school helmet and glasses in iRacing too. It's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, you mentioned it. They were literally in just cotton overalls. If they caught on fire, they just burnt on the skin. A little bit of cloth, and that was just essentially so that they could breathe, breathe through it. But it was sitting there, hitting their faces. These drivers would come back in after a race, and their face was black.
Thankfully, none of those issues for these drivers here in the virtual world. They were 3 wide for a moment there. They were desperate to sort themselves out before they got back to the oval section. Side by side through those, tricky enough with the bumps, but 3 wide's probably impossible. Look at the run all the way on the inside of the racetrack. Van Gisbergen almost taking it away, does take it away as Hartley bowls it wide and gets collected from behind. Up and over he goes. No, big shame.
Brendan Hartley, so much work at the start of the race, and now is just turned upside down literally for him.
So it was an awkward entry, wasn't it, to the chicane. He tries to recover, and then contact ensues.
It was Reed Harker into the back of him, unfortunately, that flipped him up and onto his lid, or onto his helmet, I should say.
So
Bamber
finds himself, doesn't he?
Under all sorts of pressure. Dunstall is still 5th. How is Dunstall still 5th after all of this? Remember that monumental crash he had?
As Murray Walker would say, to finish first you have to finish.
Mad Mike as well having a good run. He's up in 9th place now.
Let's not forget, he was hurriedly messaging people before we came on air about making sure he could log in and get sorted. He'd been at the workshop. He told us that in the interview. So, I mean, when you consider he was on the back foot in that sense from a time perspective, for him to now be in position 9 in these things, that's pretty impressive.
Fastest lap for Sam Dunstall, sitting in 5th position.
that is Widett that you just saw on the screen as, wow, bumper to bumper, if they had bumpers.
And of course, Mad Mike Widett, not just a internationally renowned drifter, has certainly done his fair share of racing in Highland Park, Hampton Downs, in some of the GT3 style cars. So he's certainly at home behind the wheel of McLarens, Lamborghinis, etc. as well.
Oh, all three of them had that thing on the absolute limit. Look in the foreground for the lead of the race, side by side again, Van Gisbergen and Evans, the teammates.
You're riding on board. This is the final event of Racing Local. Ryan Jones, Steve Daniel and Greg Russ with you for the coverage on 3's CRC Motorsport and the Global SimRacing Channel. It's a classic way to finish 4 fabulous weeks of action.
I was not going next after that.
I'm not even going to attempt it.
You're the closest to it. You were born in England.
Had to do a little classic commentary, didn't we? We were in these great old cars.
Yeah.
Van Gisbergen and Evans battling away.
I may have been born in England, but I don't flaunt it, Steve. I'm a true Aussie now. I support Australia and everything.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that too. So, that was... So, Dunstall absolutely charging. He's trying to make his way to the top of the field. He's going to have Mitch Evans up in front. Still a gap, 3.4 seconds in closing. And you can see trying to actually break the slipstream of Bamber and Harker in behind. Well, it's Formula One. Their teammates, will there be team orders? Van Gisbergen leading, Mitch Evans in behind, and will try to get up on the oval and tuck into the stream. Back markers getting out of the way for the leaders. Evans right there now.
2 to go. It's winding down here, isn't it? Getting down to the business end of the race as Evans stalks that draft, running a slightly different line. Back onto the main straight to begin the second portion of the lap. As here comes Evans to the inside, into the braking zone. They are line astern. Who is the last of the late breakers? It is Mitch Evans. Behind them, Bamber's gone ahead of Dunstall. As they drag race out of the corner. Dunstall to the outside looking, but not carrying enough momentum to keep it there. Has to tuck back in behind him. Lovely move down at the chicane.
And it is the final lap. 4 weeks of racing, Racing Local, supporting New Zealand Kiwi businesses during COVID.
Is it?
I'll say it.
Not quite there yet. Someone's had to tow back to pit lane, and what's that done is it's actually triggered the final lap on the scoring overlay.
Well, Mad Mike Widett's leading the race in my one then, so I'm okay with that.
That means Widett's one that's had to tow back to pit lane, so he's had an issue, unfortunately, and he's out of the race. That's a big shame for him. Now Van Gisbergen and Evans will come out of the parabolica, and they will take the white flag. Now it's the final lap of the race. You were just about 3 corners early there, Steve.
As the car's upside down, never early, just reading what we've got in front of us. So it's Evans versus Van Gisbergen to take the win. 1 lap, 10 kilometers, Monza. Riding up on the high bank. Foot to the floor, Mitchell Evans, Shane Van Gisbergen. Who is going to take the win?
SVG
Classic.
pulls to his inside with the momentum, sweeps through the race lead. But he's not comfortable yet, because that's going to come right back the other way in a moment.
Classic cars, classic venue, and a classic battle. Mitch Evans versus Shane Van Gisbergen.
They make it through the jump. Straight fight now. There's a couple lapped cars up in front. Here comes Evans with the run. He doesn't pull to the inside. He opts to sit in the slipstream, into the braking zone. He's waiting for the perfect opportunity where Van Gisbergen can't bounce back.
Riding on board with Mitch Evans. The battle between himself and Shane Van Gisbergen to find a winner. Hard into the braking zone. Racing local.
Hermanson gets out of the way. This is going to be really close here, boys.
It certainly is. Racing local, this is the last one, the last week. Big mistake, throwing it away. A lot of work to do.
That might be the race right there for Mitch Evans. He might have thrown it away at the second Lesmo. Because there's now a big gap to Van Gisbergen. Is the slipstream powerful enough? He might have thrown it away. Look at the margin there. There's about 10 car lengths between them. He gets closer and closer. Look how much closer he is. Van Gisbergen closes right up to the front bumper of Evans. Side by side into Parabolica they go. Out of the final corner. Mitch Evans on the inside. Here they come to the start-finish stripe, and Mitch Evans, he's going to take the checkered flag.
What I think's really telling there is the second or third last corner and the way Evans carried some incredible speed through there to set up that final run and to slipstream to catch Van Gisbergen on the run. So he finishes Racing Local with a victory. A guy that was taken in by Mark Webber as a part of the management, I guess you could say, that Mark has, and has done some super things. Now with Formula E, racing with Jaguar since 2016-17. Now the number one driver for them, and has had some success before we moved into this this COVID period. So well done, Mitch.
Nelson Hartley going and crossing the line. Racing Local, the fourth week, the final race powered by Giltrap Group and SOS Businesses with Cream Insurance, Gary Douglas Engineers Limited, All Ports Gaming, GVI.Kiwi, Wade Equine Coaches, Garage 16, Red Bull, Downforce, Toyota Gazoo Racing, ST European. So many amazing people getting behind such an amazing cause, Rusty.
Yeah, it's been fabulous, and we'd love you, if you can, to give a little. I know it's very hard for everybody at the moment, but if we can support our locals, support our local businesses with your patronage, and then certainly by jumping on and giving a little. The links are all there on the Racing Local Facebook page. So even though we're concluding the racing, we'll talk to some of the drivers very shortly. We'd love you to keep contributing, please, and hopefully we can edge a little bit closer. The kind of unofficial target that we've been talking about in the last couple of weeks has been 50,000. It would be nice to get close to that if we can with your help.
Let's take a look before we have some interviews. Actual full results from Monza. Mitch Evans coming home victorious by a margin just 900ths of a second back to SVG. Will Bamber 5 seconds back in third ahead of Sam Dunstall. Somehow finishing fourth despite being upside down at one point. Brendan Partridge, your top 5. Matthew Pluck, Zach Blinko, Taylor Cochran, Daniel Stevens, and Chris Vanderdrift rounded out your top 10.
Massive field, 62 cars, and we had some incidents. Well done to Nelson Hartley to claw his way to 14th there, given all the dramas that unfolded throughout the field. And, you know, you've got a feel for the likes of Liam Lawson and the others that were involved in that massive, massive incident very early on.
Let's have a chat to someone we haven't spoken to too much over the course of this. Samuel Dunstall, you were in the thick of the action all event long today. And, well, how did you finish fourth after that crash at Monza?
I think by a Christmas miracle it might have been. It was pretty crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Yeah.
It's Rusty here. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been an awesome series. I've been pretty privileged to be in every round. So, yeah, getting up there and mixing it with the guys that us young guys look up to in motorsport, it's pretty awesome. And all for a good cause as well. It's great.
Sam, Steve here. When you look at all the different racing categories that you've done over the last 4 weeks, what has been your favourite?
Too sure, really. I think maybe the prototype or the rallycross is one of my favourites. I haven't actually done much rallycross before, but I seem to pick it up quite fast, so that was really awesome. Yeah, probably rallycross actually.
While we've got you, should shine a light on the business that you're supporting. Am I right in saying you're supporting a business in Taupo?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, the storehouse. Yeah, it's great cafe. Me and my mates used to go there before school last year every Wednesday, have our business meetings. But yeah, it's really awesome to support them.
Well done.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for joining us, Sam. Congratulations on mixing it with the pros all season long. You did a very good job, and you can keep on fighting in sim racing, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, let's have a chat now to Mitch Evans, the Formula E racer that took the win at the final last-ditch effort, final corner. Fantastic race.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, it was a cool little race. I started off the back, so I'm surprised to be battling at the front. But I think, to be honest, I think Shane gave me a bit of help there to get across the line first. But it was a good fun. It was a good few weeks. I didn't really have much luck. I was a bit slow, but it was nice to finish off on a high.
I just noticed as well. Yeah, you started 33rd. Talk us how you weaved your way through the field. How did it unfold from the driver's seat?
It was more luck than anything. Just obviously there's a bit of carnage on the back, and I just got quite lucky on the first lap and somehow found myself in like P7 after lap 1 and then just chipped away at it. So one of the cleaner races I've had. I've been sort of caught up in most of the carnage, sometimes to blame. But no, we had a good one the last race, and yeah, there's a massive slipstream battle, which obviously helped keep the pack or keep the lead to Shane relatively close, because otherwise he probably would have been down the road. So yeah, great fun, and yeah, hope everyone enjoyed it.
Mitch, it's Rusty here. We certainly did. It's been great. I mean, firstly, I think you're supporting the Boat Shed Cafe and Bistro at Frankton. Is that right?
This week we are, yeah. Obviously, Queenstown's taking a bit of a hit, so we've been supporting some of the cafes and businesses down under. Down in the south. So yeah.
Well done. I was just going to say to you, Shane, when we spoke to him earlier in the coverage, has talked about how much fun this has been. Yes, there is a serious element to some of the e-racing series around the world, but to have mates come back, do this, and not to have that super serious element must have been nice.
It's been awesome, to be honest, and obviously been able to mix it with some other people I've never raced against, and even just getting guys together that I've always been good friends with, like Shane, Scotty McLaughlin, Andrew Will Bamber, guys that I've known for basically my whole life, but just with how life is nowadays, you don't really get to hang out. So it was nice to do it virtually, and hopefully we can do it, in the real world very soon. So
yeah,
just
we
want
wish
to say
you
big
well
thanks
with
to
that.
everyone. Thank you, appreciate that.
All right, so there was Mitch Evans. We've got plenty of them lining up. Who have we got, Ryan? Who's next?
Oh, take your pick. You know what? Let's grab Brendan Partridge down here into the comments box. Welcome. You're in the thick of the action, 11th to 5th, but I don't think that fully tells the tale of your race. What a wild race it was at Monza. And he's gone. All right, we'll try someone else then. Why don't we have a chat to...
Should we get Christian Hermanson on?
Yeah, let's go Christian Hermanson in. And Christian, well, that had to be quite an experience, driving a Lotus 49 at the historic Monza circuit, getting to do it in a 62-car field.
Yeah, it was. Let's just say it was all go. I had a reasonably good heat. Was happy with my starting spot. I think I started off grid 18 or so, and then it was all go at the first corner, and eventually got spat out. But that's the way it goes. It was sort of the same in the rallycross. I had really good pace and testing and all that sort of thing, and then just didn't show up tonight. So it was a bit of a disappointing night for me personally. But overall, another fantastic night in the series.
Christian, chin up. Don't worry about your racing. Congratulations on what you and everybody has done with the coordination and the organisation of this. I know there's been a lot of late nights. Were you surprised with some of the choices you ultimately arrived at? I love the fact that we have finished this series by kind of tipping the hat to some classic old race cars, because New Zealanders have so much history in that area of the sport, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think where we've ended it is probably the perfect spot. Some of New Zealand's biggest names in motorsport right now, sort of, as you say, tipping the hat to the likes of McLaren, Amon, Holm, sort of from those historic days at a very historic track like Monza. So, obviously, as you said, it's been an incredible effort. Like you said, few late nights, few early mornings, few sort of balancing it with a real job, this racing local thing. But what's amazing is the fact that I just checked the Give a Little page before. We've raised $34,000 in 4 weeks for some businesses who have really been struggling through the lockdown. So it's amazing, and just I think we can all be very proud of ourselves, and just a big thank you to everyone who's donated, all the sponsors, all the drivers who participated, and you guys as well for making the show great.
It's been a joy.
Thank you for helping all season long, and wish you the best of luck moving forward. All right, let's try Mr. Brendan Partridge again. Welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel booth. Wild race, mate. You got a copy on us, Brendan? All right, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to talk to Brendan Partridge then, so we'll keep on rolling with our interviews. We'll have a chat to who is next up on the list of drivers. We've got Nelson Hartley joining us out there. What a month it's been racing local, Nelson. And to finish it off with the Monza historic circuit in the Lotus 49, what an experience that must be.
Oh, g'day, gang. How you going? You good? That was actually the first race I've finished in this entire series, so I didn't have to throw anything across the room tonight, so it was a bit of a relief. Nothing to clean up.
Nelson, it must have been nice to finish with a glimmer of hope.
Yes, a glimmer of hope. That's exactly it. A glimmer of hope. I feel like there's hope for the future. It was. I actually started grid 54 then, I think, and had about 10 shunts and still managed to finish 15th or 16th. So that was kind of a laugh.
Nelson, it's Rusty. It must have been like the parting of the seas when you saw some of those accidents happening. And then the second part to my question is, has there been a category or a track that you've really enjoyed the most right across the series?
The Speedway is really fun on iRacing. If anyone is watching and hasn't experienced sim racing, the Speedway on iRacing is actually really cool. And the Lotus, despite the fact that when I first drove it last night, I had quite a few nasty text messages to send my brother. I really enjoyed that just then. It was quite fun.
Nelson, it's not just your brother that you have the mean text messages or arguments with. I know that Dad quite often gives you both pointers, especially when it comes to the dirt.
Yeah, he's given a few pointers on how to drive in the past and on hairstyles, but we seem to have done our own thing and gone pretty good because of it.
Nelson, before we wrap this up, just quickly, let people know the business you've been supporting tonight.
So we were supporting both my brother and I actually were supporting a kayaking business. The name's gone from my head right at the moment, but we tried it once and it was really cool. So we thought we'd support them in like just out of Tie Happy.
River
So
Valley
something
Adventures.
rather than a cafe or something. I've supported a few of those over the series, so it's nice to share around.
River Valley Adventures and Tie Happy.
That's it. That's the one.
All right. Hey, well, thank you for having a chat to us, Nelson. We'll let you get back to it, and
No
best of luck
problem.
moving forward.
Peace.
We'll close things out as we have a chat to Brendan Hartley. It didn't quite work out on the track, unfortunately, but from an admin perspective, as an organizer, you must be so proud of how this has gone.
Yeah, it was mega. I ran out of talent a couple of times in the rallycross, and I was having an awesome battle in both races and the Lotus 69. And I think just for everyone that drove them tonight and struggled and persevered, I think it proved that all those New Zealand Formula One drivers from the 60s and 70s, they were real men to drive these cars. But mate, it's been awesome. It's been fun. It's been great to see the whole motorsport community come together. I'm sure we've spoken too much, about it, but all the rest. But I just wanted to say thanks to everyone who's got involved. That's including you guys in the comms box, the GSRC network who have been supporting the coverage, all of our sponsors. It's been fun to do. I think we're all ready to go back to real racing, and hopefully we've supported a few businesses and also provided a bit of entertainment on a Friday night.
Brendan, it's Rusty. Well done. The whole
Cheers.
concept and what it stands for is tremendous. You've led me to my next question. How you finished off your answer there a moment ago. What is in the pipeline for you, knowing that we're kind of gradually coming out of things here in New Zealand, but there's still lots of travel restrictions? What happens as far as your real race program is concerned now?
Yeah, I think what's clear is I think being in New Zealand, we're definitely the best place on Earth right now.
Absolutely.
In terms of just having freedom, and I've been able to catch up with a bit of friends and family over the last few days, and yeah, in terms of the future, like I don't know. Like most sports, we've been put on hold. I think the tricky thing for myself is most of my racing is international, so the international travel is a question mark, but. I know everyone's working hard to get us back and doing the real thing soon.
Brendan, it's Steve here. There's one thing that with the businesses, etc., that have really gotten behind and supported this. Of course, the businesses that have been supported by Racing Local, but there's a lot of individuals that were right behind everything that happened. Yourself and so many more.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, there's obviously myself, Christian, and Chris, and also my wife and Chris's wife that have put a lot of effort in, but it's actually all the other drivers that make this possible. If we couldn't get the likes of Shane, who SVG, who's given us all a lesson throughout the whole series, or Scott, for example, and all the Muzz Motorsport. Without those guys and all the other competitors and the sim races and everyone got involved, none of this could have been possible. But I think that the exciting thing is actually, can we make this happen on the other side in real life? Can we do something and get the motorsport community together and do a few disciplines over the course of a weekend? I mean, I'd love to do it. I'm sure the 62 drivers that were here tonight would love to do it. So, yeah, maybe that's the next goal.
I think that's the great thing about it, is that you've brought people together that you've perhaps followed loosely or kept an eye on or whatever, but never had the chance to compete against, and now you've been able to do that.
Yeah, and it's funny, during this lockdown, and particularly for us drivers, we're all sitting at home, but we've all been able to connect, and okay, racing, it's been fun to race against each other, but there's a bit of banter. We're keeping in touch, and actually, I've met virtually a lot of New Zealand drivers or international drivers online racing that I wouldn't ordinarily. So in some ways, it's connected us, and it's hopefully there's some good that comes of that in the future as well.
To you, to Sarah, to all the partners. I know Barry Tomlinson's been involved too.
Yes, 100%. He deserves a mention. Yeah.
Well done, mate.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Thanks again. Awesome.
Here he is, Brendan Hartley, and as we said, together, Ryan, they've done a super job, haven't they? I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to be a little bit lost on a Friday now. We're wrapping up.
Yeah, me too. I think, Steve, the same. Your final thoughts before, unfortunately, we have to wrap it up.
Look, for me, one of the people, we've got a lot of people that have done everything behind the scenes, etc., from the event perspective, bringing people together. But I actually want to say a special mention to Sean Ambrose, who picks the shots, who's in our ear as well as a David Turner for myself, who has been there in the back. But Sean, thank you very much for everything you've done behind the scenes for Rusty and I, and for Ryan as well. You've been amazing.
Well said, Steve, and a big thank you to Dave Turner, as you say there, who's supported us with some stats and facts along the way. And Ryan, congratulations to you. You've anchored the call superbly. It's nice to just be able to sprinkle a little bit of stuff and try and help out from my side. It's been a lot of fun to be a part of. Thank you.
Well, I got to thank both of you guys for helping me as well. Biggest broadcast I've done ever, and alongside two contribute professionals and yourself, it's been a fantastic experience.
You've got a long future ahead of you, mate. A long future.
Fingers crossed, we'll keep it up. Well, unfortunately, it brings us to a close for Racing Local. Thank you to the Guild Trap Group and to SOS Business, who have been our biggest supporters over the course of the season, plus all our other sponsors who've come on board to help us out here at Racing Local. Thank you to all the drivers, all the viewers who tuned in, and all the companies that provide the hardware that make all of these broadcasts possible, and as well as June Alonbe, who provides the music for these broadcasts. Thanks to the team with me as well, Greg and Steve, and Sean behind the scenes as well. If you want to find out more about GSRC, you can find it on our social media at GSR Channel on Twitter, at GSRC_Graham on Instagram, and Global SimRacing Channel on Facebook and on the internet as well. Don't forget to hit subscribe to us on YouTube. You can catch plenty more iRacing action each and every day. We've always got something on. Over the weekends, it's completely hectic here in the production booth. But from all of us here today, thank you for joining us. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.